Hello, today's episode is brought to you by our favorite sponsor, sunsetlakesabadee.com. Use the code LEFTISBEST. You get 20% off. 20% off some of the best Sabadee products in the world. It's grown without pesticides. They use integrated pest management. They've got great business practices and farming practices. They practice regenerative farming to maintain the quality of their soil. They pay $20 minimum wage during the harvest and mostly employee owned after that. They've got great products. They've got tinctures that help you sleep, tinctures that help you relax, tinctures that help your pets relax. They've got gummies that do all of what I just said, and some gummies with some THC that make you a little goofier, as it were. They also have a lifted tea, which is fantastic. And it's the only way that we get Brian to keep showing up in the office. We just dangle a can. Yeah.
I need it, baby. Come on, just one more can.
They have lotions and salves. They have smokables that you can mix with other smokables or just smoke on their own. They've got pre-rolls and keef and flour. They've got Sabadee fudge. Great gift. Sabadee coffee, also a great gift. In fact, all of their products make great gifts for people. You can find them all at sunsetlakesabadee.com. Use the code LEFTISBEST. You get 20% off. Again, this is a great company. They have donated tens of thousands of dollars to things like Strike Relief Fund and Planned Parenthood and carceral reform and refugee resettlement and food pantries. They just gave $5,000 to the Vermont Food Pantry. Just check them out. You're going to love it. Left is best. 20% off. sunsetlakesabadee.com. Now time for the show.
The Majority Report with Sam Seder.
The destiny of America is always safer in the hands of the people than in the conference rooms of any elite.
Sam Seder.
They are unanimous in their hate for me, and I welcome their hatred.
We must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
The Majority Report with Sam Seder.
Ever get the feeling you've been cheated?
It is Tuesday, December 2nd, 2025. My name is Sam Seder. This is the five-time award-winning Majority Report. We are broadcasting live steps from the industrially ravaged Gowanus Canal in the heartland of America, downtown Brooklyn, USA. On the program today, Jasper Nathaniel, publisher of the Infinite Jazz Substack, updates from his trip to the West Bank, reporting there. Also on the program today, Pete Hegseth, weaving in and out of the responsibility for the Caribbean, either war crimes or just crimes. Special election in Tennessee's 7th congressional district could bring a new crop of Republican resignations.
Inshallah.
DHS Chief Kristi Noem recommending a wide travel ban on incoming foreign visitors. Starbucks to pay nearly $40 million fine over New York City labor law violations as the Starbucks union strike continues and the boycott continues.
And Bernie and Zoran joined them on the picket line yesterday. Love to see it.
Trump administration fires almost 30% of the New York City-based immigration judges. Costco sues the Trump administration over tariffs. New report, U.S. is funding dramatically fewer grants in every area of science and medicine. Meanwhile, U.S. manufacturing activity contracts for the 9th month in a row. And lastly, the heartwarming story of RFK Jr.'s new top advisor, who's also a COVID denier. All this and more on today's Majority Report. Somebody's asking if there's a color filter on the thing. I guess we did not necessarily nail it. We're playing around with the...
We kind of wanted this to look like a CSI episode, like kind of procedural.
Yeah, what happened? It's so much more vibrant than it was like when we did this in the press.
Because we were trying to figure out a way to get us to match. Obviously, my camera settings are perfect. For some reason, Sam's...
I'm all over the place.
Yeah.
But you know what?
I still think it looks better than it did yesterday.
What are you going to do, folks? I mean, we've been doing this show now for 15 years. We like to mix it up a little bit.
Haven't quite dialed it in.
Yeah.
Give us time.
Yeah. This doesn't happen overnight.
The webcams, which is what we are using for people that don't realize, can be finicky.
Yeah.
They're nice webcams.
Okay.
No,
Well, as opposed to what? Oh, you mean
like a regular camera, right? Which I think most shows use, but
most shows.
that's okay.
Whatever.
Most shows aren't this show.
That's correct.
Is this?
Exactly. Okay. Yes, I have heard of a ludicrous apple. All right, let's move on.
Don't derail the show right now, folks.
Yeah, folks, just don't tempt me with
Apple
All right,
stuff
let's
after
start with
1:30.
this. This is a big deal that's happening in Tennessee today. Tennessee's 7th with Afton Bain. At one point, we tried to get her on the show. That we had a scheduling problem, so it didn't happen. But as I was saying to Brian earlier this morning, I said, if there's anybody who watches this show or listens to this show who lives in Tennessee's 7th district and you're not voting today, you need us to remind you, you're fired. You're not stop watching the show because you just now you're just sucking the life force out of us. And we don't want that. I'm assuming that everybody's going to. This is an R. Well, we should say Donald Trump won this district by 22 points in 2024. If this is even close, you got to start thinking about the calculation that Republican congresspeople are going to be making if they look at this and they think, if Donald Trump won my district by less than 22 points, am I going to be able to get reelected? How difficult is this going to be? And how much effort am I going to put in over the course of the next year when I know I'm going to end up in the minority? That's what the relevance of this is. Now, of course, there's other numbers associated with it, like it's, the Democrats do, pick up one more seat. It's going to tighten things. But here is Afton Bain drawing a contrast between her gathering in Franklin, Tennessee, and her opponent, Van Epps's, a little bit more exclusive event.
Yeah, this made by the Tennessee Holler.
What's your response to all of that?
Yeah, I mean, the barrage of negative attacks is because they don't have a plan to address the affordability crisis we are dealing with. I mean, there's no plan. And so unless you have a plan to make healthcare more affordable, you're coming after me. And the voters hear that. I mean, we have heard from voters all across the district that they're like, she's got a plan. We know what she stands for. She hasn't gone negative. All she's been talking about is how she's going to provide for Tennessee families. And more importantly, I just want to draw a contrast to this moment versus my opponent's rally, in which it was behind pearly white gates of a Williamson County mega mansion, away from the people and next to the power brokers and puppet masters. And it just shows how he's going to govern, which is, I've been someone who's been knocking doors every day, every week for the past 9 months, talking to voters, and he is behind closed doors, and that is how he'll govern. And I think Tennesseans are fed up with leadership that doesn't deliver.
I like what she's centered her campaign around: feed kids, fix roads, fund hospitals. That's been like a slogan that she's deployed. And it's quite the contrast to the guy behind the gates there, who I think has doubled what Bain has fundraised, and is beholden to the billionaires and to Donald Trump, basically.
Club for Growth is getting really heavily involved in this race.
Well, just the fact that they're having to bring this many people in and this much money in is indicative of how important this race is to them, not just in terms of like the direct first order question of whether this specific district is represented by a Democrat or a Republican, or what the numbers are in the House. It is what it's going to do to Republican House members in terms of demoralizing them. Let's listen to Bain making her. Well, let's get a sense of that. This is number 5. This is Donald Trump and Mike Johnson sort of rallying. This is both sort of rallying. I mean,
I can't confirm that he was on a golf cart when he called in.
No, he might have been on the toilet, be fair.
Well, I was having my annual physical for the 5th time in 4 months.
From inside the MRI machine.
Exactly.
You can tell he really cares
Guess
about
where I'm
this.
calling you from, Mike? Here's Mike
Beep.
Johnson. He's on the ground. Now, honestly, I mean, if you had said to somebody a year ago, will Mike Johnson have to travel to Tennessee to campaign in a plus 22 Donald Trump district if the Republican is out fundraising the Democrat by a 2-to-1 margin? I think most people would say, are you serious? But here we are.
Remember, he's got a majority of 3. A majority of 3. And there aren't many people can do that, but we have to win this seat. We've gotten you the largest tax cuts in history, and the new bill, the great big beautiful bill, kicks in, as you know, on January 1st. Hasn't even kicked in yet. And then you have no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. If you borrow money to buy
Can you just pause it really briefly? I just want to make one point, is that Trump's 2024 campaign director, when he did that interview with Politico in the wake of Zoran's victory and like the Democrats sweeping across the country a few weeks ago, was talking about how they need to refocus on affordability and cost of living and not just taxes. And you see how they have nothing to address that. Trump is returning to the tax cuts. That this is not addressing the cost of living. That like, okay, perhaps people will have a few $100s more because of tax cuts, or a few $1,000s more if you're richer. But they're not addressing people where they are, and I think that that's a real vulnerability here.
I also, the way this sounds, I am not convinced that first of all, it sounds almost like AI.
Yeah.
But I think the way you couldn't train an AI to sort of like backtrack in the way that he does.
Still working on the weave.
Exactly. But I'm also would not be surprised if he didn't just record this and they played the recording back through the phone to make sure that he didn't go sideways during this. Go ahead.
Security, no tax on overtime. If you borrow money to buy a car, you get a deduction that's never happened before. All these things kick in on January 1st. A lot of people don't know. They said, oh, they already kicked in. I said, no, it doesn't start until January 1st. So that was the first date. I just want to thank everybody. I love Tennessee, one of my all-time favorite places. And Tennessee, I guess, loves me because we've won by the biggest margins anybody's ever won by, so that's cool. But if can go, Matt Van Epps, he's a winner. He's going to be great. Don't let this stuff fool you. The Democrats are spending a fortune, and we don't want people that want to raise your taxes. She wants to raise your taxes on top of everything else. But she said 2 things above all else that bothered me. Number 1, she hates Christianity. Number 2, she hates country music. How the hell can you elect a person like that? So I just want to give my total support, and he's had it right from the beginning, to Matt Van Epps. He's going to be a fantastic congressman. He's going to represent you so well, and we'll keep our agenda going. And I'm going to make a call tonight about 7 or 8 o'clock. I'm doing a tele-rally for him tonight. So if anybody wants to listen, basically I'll be saying the same things I just said.
Okay.
Okay, whatever. I mean, they're nervous about this. Donald Trump, he's working overtime. He's making 2 phone calls. That's quite a bit.
Basically, I'll be saying the same thing I just said. It might be the same recording.
Exactly. And I mean, also keep this in mind. There is no direct, immediate ability for him to monetize this. So he's serious about this. The fact that he would do this where there's no direct money flowing into his pockets. Here is Afton Bain on News Nation making her final pitch.
I got my start as a healthcare community organizer in the state of Tennessee, fighting to preserve Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act. So as the next congresswoman for the 7th Congressional District, I'll ensure those subsidies remain for the ACA. 2, I'll restore funding for Medicaid, which is a lifeline for so many rural hospitals in the district. And 3, roll back tariffs, which are squeezing and bankrupting Tennessee farmers right now.
So what is your final pitch to voters? They're casting their ballots today. How would you work with or challenge Speaker Mike Johnson at the same time?
I'm someone who cannot be bought or sold by special interests. I represent the interests of the constituents of the 7th Congressional District. And as I've said on the campaign, if you are upset about the chaos of Washington and the cost of living, then I'm your candidate. And I don't care who you voted for. I don't care what political party you belong to. I welcome you with open arms. Come to our side and vote for change.
Better pitch than, Trump's closing one. She hates country music. When we're talking about
It's the 2 C's, Christianity and country music.
the fact that people are feeling the implications of like the economy in such an acute way, the way that has flipped now that Trump is back in office and the Democrats are able to make this case is important because, they have nothing to offer on that. Even when he talks about the tax cuts from the big ugly ass bill, that bill is deeply unpopular as well.
Yeah, I mean, you would imagine a place where he was 22 plus, there's a lot of Trump fans, and that's what they're hoping to rally. But again, if this election is close, if it's within 6 or 7 points, you're talking that Republican congressmen around the country are, and you've got to make allowance for the fact this is a special election. Democrats may be more tuned in than Republicans, and you would expect that to even out a little bit in the midterms. But making up a 15-point or 15 points of a deficit when you have half the money, there's going to be Republican congressmen, mostly, let's be honest, mostly congressmen. Yeah. It's Republicans that are going to say it's just not worth it. It's exhausting to run for office. I can go out and get a corporate job and use my connections to drain money from the coffers of the government while the getting's good. And I would not be surprised if she is within 5 points that we don't hear at least a couple more resignations, if not, or I should say retirements, if not another resignation, because people are just not going to want to deal with this, losing their seat. And then even if they win, they get into the minority. All right. In a moment, we're going to be talking to Jasper Nathaniel, publisher of Infinite Jazz on Substack, about follow-up on what has happened since he has been returned from the West Bank. First, a couple words from our sponsors. Delete Me makes it easy, quick, and safe to remove your personal data online at a time when surveillance and data breaches and doxing are common enough to make everyone vulnerable. I've been using Delete Me way before they became sponsors on this program. Obviously, it was more than 10 years ago now, I think, that I started using it because I didn't want a lot of my public information floating around out there. And Delete Me does a great job with it. All you got to do is you give them your email address and you tell them basically all the stuff that you want to get deleted. And they do this on an ongoing basis. They send you regular updates as to what they've gotten rid of, what they found, where, and what they're doing about it. And why is this important for people who don't do a show like this, aside from, wanting to maintain some privacy? Data brokers, this is who Delete Me gets your stuff removed from, profit off your data. Your data is a commodity. Anyone on the web can buy your private details, and that can lead to identity theft, phishing attempts, and harassment. But Delete Me takes care of all of that. What they'll do is they'll combine stuff that they buy on the dark web with stuff that they can buy from data brokers. They can threaten taking over your identity, or they can know enough about you from these data brokers. They send you an email and, trick you into a phishing attempt. It's also a great thing to do, frankly, for your parents, maybe, who may not be as savvy about these things. What do data brokers do? Your name, contact info, social security number, home address, even information about your families can be compiled by data brokers and sold online. New York Times Wirecutter has named Delete Me their top pick for data removal services. Delete Me, like I say, sends you regular personalized privacy reports showing what they found, where they found it, and what they removed. It is not, Delete Me is not just a one-time service. It's always working for you, constantly monitoring and removing personal information. I want to thank Delete Me for sponsoring the Majority Report. Take control of your data. Keep your private life private by signing up for Delete Me now at a special discount for our listeners. Get 20% off your Delete Me plan when you go to joindeleteme.com/majority. Use the promo code majority at checkout. Only way to get 20% off, go to joindeleteme.com/majority. Enter code majority at checkout. That's joindeleteme.com/majority. Code is majority. We'll put a link to that in the podcast and YouTube description. Also, sponsoring the program today, service that I've now used probably, for 6-7 years. They advertised with us years ago, and I was really impressed with it. That there have been massive cuts to foreign aid. It's all been in the headlines. They have raised real concerns about people's well-being in some of the world's poorest communities. I have seen numbers ranging from in the hundreds of thousands already who have been hurt or died because of these cuts, and that it ranges into the millions over the course of the next 10 years. Well, GiveWell doesn't claim to have all the answers, but its team of researchers are analyzing the impact of foreign aid funding cuts in real time. They are identifying highly cost-effective ways to save and improve lives, and they're sharing what they're learning for free so that everyone can have a big impact. GiveWell has spent 18 years researching global health and poverty alleviation. They only direct funding to the highest impact opportunities that they've found. Over 150,000 donors have already trusted GiveWell to direct more than $2.5 billion with a B, dollars. Rigorous evidence suggests these donations will save over 300,000 lives and improve the lives of millions more. You can find all of their research and recommendations on their site for free. And thanks to donors who chose to sponsor their research, GiveWell does not take a single dollar cut from your tax-deductible donations to their recommended funds. I have found a lot of great charities over the years from GiveWell. That's where we found Give Directly. They change year to year as to what they are focusing on, all based on research. They are completely transparent. They have a vertical with everything they've gotten wrong over the course of those 18 years. It's pretty sniggly stuff, but they are very, very transparent about it. It's just a great way to get a sense that the dollar you're giving is doing as much and having as much impact as possible this time of year. If this is your first gift through GiveWell, you can have your donation matched up to $100. That's before the end of this year or as long as matching funds last. To claim your match, go to givewell.org, pick podcast, and enter a Majority Report at checkout. Make sure they know you heard about GiveWell from the Majority Report, and you will get your donation matched. Again, that's givewell.org. Enter Majority Report to donate or find out more. Check it out, givewell.org. And lastly, obviously, we're getting very close to a gift-giving time. Get it done. Do it now. And here's how you can do it. And this is the perfect gift for your parents, for your brother, your sister, your uncles, your aunts, your cousins, your kids. It is Aura Frames. It is so easy to wrap this up and get your gift giving done now, and basically be a hero. I have given Aura Frames as a gift, both to my parents, my girlfriend's parents, my My mother loved her frame before she passed. By the end, she was talking to it, but that was because there's videos of the kids, and you can actually, so there's audio too. But I gave an Aura frame last year for Christmas to my girlfriend's family, and they ended up buying like 5 more. All the kids, they got a bunch of kids in that family. They all have the app. It's super easy to use. You have your app. You can put the photos on the app. You take the photos, and then you just send it. And you can do all this without even ever seeing the frame. So you can preload pictures onto a gift frame, send it. When they open it up and they plug it in, they're going to see the pictures. For a limited time, you can save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off of Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames, named #1 by Wirecutter, by using the promo code majority at checkout. That's AURA frames, auraframes.com. Promo code majority. This deal is exclusive to listeners, and the frames sell out fast. So order yours now to get it in time for the holidays. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. You want to do this. Believe me, great gift. And it's one that keeps giving throughout the year. They're going to love it. Auraframes.com. All of our ads, the links will be in the podcast and YouTube description. And a reminder, it's your support that keeps this show going. If you want the free show, free of ads, become a member at jointhemajorityreport.com. All right, quick break. Jasper Nathaniel. We are back. Sam Seder, Emma Vigeland on the Majority Report. I want to welcome back to the program Jasper Nathaniel. He's the publisher of Infinite Jazz on Substack. Folks, if you subscribe to any Substack, you do yourself a favor, subscribe to Jasper's. The firsthand accounts of reporting in the West Bank, for whatever reason, we just don't see many journalists go into the West Bank and actually get on the ground reporting. Jasper has done that. Jasper, welcome back to the program. We spoke to you when you came back, and we showed some video of that you took when you went out to the olive groves and basically were attacked by settlers. And on Thanksgiving, there was some developments in that. In fact, there was developments in 2 stories that you were pursuing on Thanksgiving. But welcome to the show. Tell us what happened on Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Thanks for having me back. Thanksgiving was a wonderful day. Basically, I woke up to a million text messages because the settler who I documented clubbing the Palestinian grandmother, who before that had sort of led a chase against me and some other Palestinian farmers, he'd been arrested maybe 2 weeks earlier, but it was, one of these things where it was unclear if it was just going to be a token arrest and he was just going to get sort of, let out immediately. But on Thanksgiving morning, he was indicted on terror charges in Israel. And, that it still has to go to trial, obviously, but it's a sign at least that they're at least going to try to make an example of this one guy. And, I want to be clear that I'm not under any illusion that, Israel is going to rein in its settlers that it vehemently backs and arms and supports. But, as I keep saying, the fact that they have responded to this international pressure and outrage over this one attack to the point that they're actually bringing terror charges against him, I think is a good indication that, pressure is working. And the more you document these things, the more they are willing to react. So that was the first thing that happened.
Well, let's stop with that one first. What can you tell us about terror charges? Like, where on the spectrum of charges, how serious is it that they charged him with a terror charges as opposed to like assault or I don't know. I mean, it seems to me there's a range of things they could have charged him with, and I wonder if there's anything to be read into those charges.
I mean, it's equivalent to like a hate crime charge. So I think the specific, it's like race-based violent crime, something to that effect. I mean, it is serious. Oftentimes they will arrest these guys and charge them with like disorderly conduct or, some version of like unlawful gathering or rioting or something. This is, it's a serious charge. He could do real time. It doesn't mean that he will. It doesn't mean that he'll be found guilty or that, he won't plead to lesser charges or something like that. But it's serious. There's no way around it. I mean, they are, and I should say that like, the Israeli authorities who have been in touch with me about it, who I have conversed with to some extent, I've basically said to them repeatedly that like, I don't believe you that you're serious about this, and sort of challenged them. And they kept saying, just watch. And they brought a serious charge against him. Again, I want to like sort of just rein it in a little bit because there's an entire terror network in Termesaya, in this town where the attack took place. So there's like a known leader of the violent outpost. The guy who was arrested is basically like a foot soldier. So, they have not, this is like equivalent to the, to like arresting, a hitman in the mafia, but not going after the actual mob family or the boss or anything. So it's not, in my opinion, like a systematic effort to take out the terror network. But again, it's a serious charge against a violent settler, which is like extraordinarily rare.
Okay, and let's talk about the second thing that happened on Thanksgiving. This is quite a morning for you.
Yeah, so Mohammed Ibrahim, the 16-year-old Palestinian-American kid who he's from Florida, and his family sort of goes back and forth between Florida and the West Bank. He was arrested, or abducted, I should say, in February from his home in a town called Al-Mazrah al-Sharqiyya. I should also say this is the first cousin of Saifullah Musalet, who's a 20-year-old Palestinian-American who was beaten to death by settlers in July. So Mohammed has been basically wasting away in Israeli military detention since February. He's been starved, he's been beaten, he contracted scabies, he's been barred from speaking to his own family for over 9 months. On Thanksgiving Day, he was released into his father, who went to pick him up, and they brought him to the hospital. I mean, I don't know if you've seen photos or videos, but he's like extremely gaunt. He looks like he hasn't seen the sun in 9 months, and he's lost a lot of weight, and he's still got scabies, but he's free. And family is ecstatic. And then actually what happened next in my mind is just as exciting. So basically I'll get into the details of what happened. Basically, I mean, there's been an effort for 9.5 months to get the U.S. government to support freeing, an American child, which one would think is the job of the American government.
And what ostensibly was he being held for?
Oh yeah, he was being accused of throwing a stone. So basically him and 3 other Palestinian kids who are not American, were accused of throwing stones at cars. Mohammed was never even accused of hitting a car. He was just accused of literally throwing a stone. And he denied it. And then eventually he allegedly confessed to it. he then said in a sworn affidavit that he was beaten on the way to the military detention center when he was abducted at 3 a.m. He was beaten once he got there, and then as he was being interrogated, they threatened to beat him again if he didn't confess. So he confessed under duress, which is, entirely consistent with testimony and reporting from what's happening inside these military detention centers. So the charge was that he threw a stone. And basically the U.S. government just completely ignored it for months and months and months. The story didn't even break until July, like 5 months after he was abducted. And it broke when a great reporter named Joseph Gedeon with The Guardian was reporting on the murder of Seyfullah. And as he was talking to the family, they mentioned that Seyfullah's first cousin, literally their mothers or sisters, had been in military detention for months, and nobody had even known about this yet.
So, okay, they charge him with throwing a stone, and then that's it? There's no trial over the throwing with the stone? Like, after 5 months at that point? They just, they're like, I don't understand, like, how aside, like, even if it's a valid charge of stone throwing, how there's no court case for this. 16 years old, right? This kid?
He was 15 at the time. He
15.
turned 16 in prison. Yeah, it's hard to understand. There was no trial. I mean, basically, he had a court date scheduled, and then his father showed up, and then it was delayed by 30 days. And then there was another court date scheduled, and the father showed up, and it was delayed by 30 days. And this happened over and over and over, and they could not get any information whatsoever. And the U.S. Embassy was not speaking to them, and they were barred from communicating with their son in any way. So, I mean, it was a complete black box. They had no idea what was happening. And also, like, a 17-year-old from the neighboring town who was Mohammed's cellmate dropped dead in prison in those first few months. And the family heard that a teenager from their area had died in prison. And they basically spent a whole day thinking that it was their son. So, I mean, it was torture. It was torture for them.
Where was Mohammed born?
He was born in Florida.
I mean, this is just an American kid in Florida, from Florida, who is visiting family in Palestine.
And as it turns out, the Secretary of State of the United States is a proud Florida man. And he never so much as mentioned Mohammed's name. So yes, I mean, this is an American kid. And I should say, like, when I was in the West Bank in October, I stayed with the family a couple of times, actually. And, like, not that this should, like, privilege them or make them any more deserving of security, but, like, they're Americans. Like, these are just, like, completely...
Well, it's just basic democratic representation. I mean, there should be some sort of level of trust that Americans have, that a teenage boy who is an American can't be held indefinitely for throwing a stone by our supposed greatest ally without having our government intervene. That would, I mean, that's kind of basic stuff, I would imagine, for the world superpower. But you mentioned Rubio. What's fascinating here is, we were talking a little bit about this, Chris Van Hollen has now been across these kind of two major cases. One that's, of course, the Kilmar Brego Garcia case earlier this year. But when it comes to this, he seemed to put a lot of pressure on the U.S. government and the Trump administration to free him here. What's your assessment of his role in Mohammed's release?
Yeah, so basically there was, like, there was literally no effort whatsoever from anybody in the U.S. government for the first 5-6 months of his detention. After the story broke, that's when I sort of latched onto it. I got Joseph, the reporter, connected me with the family, and I started talking with them basically every day. And it became clear pretty much right away that, for the most part, that the U.S. Embassy was not interested in helping, and that their Florida representatives were not interested in helping. Rick Scott, I'm forgetting who the other Florida senator is. She was not interested in helping. And so it was clear that, and it was obviously not going to just sort of matriculate through the Israeli military criminal justice system. Like he was just going to rot away indefinitely. So it was like, okay, this needs to be just a grassroots pressure campaign. And so I basically worked with the family to start haranguing U.S. lawmakers, which included a trip to D.C. As part of a delegation with the families of Americans who have been killed in the West Bank, including the father of Saifullah, Kamel. And what happened was like certain lawmakers started getting involved, the people you would expect, like Rashida Tlaib. And then Chris Van Hollen, I got to be honest, like I didn't even know who this guy was until a year, maybe 2 years ago. And he just sort of like comes out of nowhere. And I have to be honest, like he showed real moral clarity. Like in my conversations with his staff and, just engaging with them, like it seemed like he understood that this was the right thing to do. And so he started becoming really vocal about it. A couple other things that I should just mention. This detail, like, just absolutely cracks me up. So, or it makes me cry maybe. But so like the pressure campaign builds and builds and builds. I'm working with the family and a couple of organizations like CARE and some others to organize like massive phone banking to get representatives. All of it is really aimed at like trying to get representatives to call the U.S. Embassy and demand that they do something. But at a certain point, a couple of lawmakers who I can't name, who are like deep in the pockets of AIPAC, indicate that they want to help, but they need to do it secretly. They can't let it be publicly known that they are helping to free the American kid. So like these are people who ostensibly like had a sort of conscience about this and were like, we want to help, but if word gets out that we're trying to help this American kid, then we will get in trouble with AIPAC. And I have since seen some of these lawmakers getting like pilloried on social media for doing nothing to help. And they can't even come out and say, actually, we did help, because that's how afraid of AIPAC they are.
Can you say if they're Democrats?
Yes, they're Democrats.
All Democrats.
There might be one Republican too, but there's at least two. Like, it's not Schumer or Gillibrand or Goldman, and those three did absolutely nothing. And people may have seen
Surprise!
Yeah.
My mom has been sort of leading the campaign to harass those three.
I was going to say, I saw a video that was surreptitiously filmed of your mother. I hope she wasn't upset when she found out that your sister was taking of your mom calling Gillibrand's office, calling Schumer's office, calling other offices.
Yeah, and she was basically, she's been calling them every single day and sort of like leading a network of other mom friends or other friends who have been doing it too. And the message to them has basically been, just wait until I leak the call logs that shows that I've called you every single day and did nothing. So she's been shaming them. And I don't know if you saw this, but literally last night, Ryan Grimm shared that DropSite reached out to Gillibrand for comment. And somebody, I think on background maybe, or they got word somehow that Gillibrand's office said that after the video aired of my mom saying that, they then reached out to the U.S. Embassy to check in on him. So again, like this is somebody who refuses to help, refuses to do anything, and then they're just shamed over and over and over and over again. And finally,
here's your mom.
Did
we pop that up? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, there's two. It feels like there's two lessons from this. One is that it is possible to shame these people into, you need to go to extraordinary lengths to shame them to do the bare minimum for a 15-year-old American citizen who has been arrested or kidnapped. Really, there's no other word for it. Kidnapped by a foreign military, ostensibly for the worst crime that they could come up with is throwing a rock. It's incredible that it took that much, but it's good to know that they can be shamed. But what also it's clear is that the story, and just coincidentally, there's a piece out by Ben Rhodes in the Times yesterday, who is a former Obama foreign policy advisor. it is quite clear the amount of influence that we in the United States have over what Israel does, at least within certain parameters, if there's a decision to exercise it. And what we have seen, I think, is like clearly these things show is a complete absence of willingness to exercise that leverage.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And the thing that it seems like finally pushed things over the edge was that after some momentum started to build, when like Van Hollen started speaking about it pretty regularly, Merkley, Peter Welch from Vermont, and a couple others, the Israeli embassy in Washington circulated a memo that, they tried to do it in secret, but, I got a hold of it pretty much immediately from one of the lawmakers. They circulated a memo to the lawmakers who had been speaking on Mohammed's behalf, full of lies, misinformation, and omissions to basically smear Mohammed as a criminal, to deny that he was having any health issues, which we knew that he was, and to basically try to encourage them to shut up about it. And so what happened was that leaked. And then separately, Netanyahu's office finally put out a statement after they were pressured enough. And they basically, Netanyahu doubled down and said he's being charged with committing a potentially deadly crime. And so after those two things happened, me and some others in the family and some organizations started going back to these lawmakers and showing them, here are the actual medical reports that we were able to get from the prison that show that he has a severe weight loss, that show that he's contracted scabies. Here is the evidence that, contradicts everything that was said by the Israeli embassy and Netanyahu. They're trying to make you look like idiots. They're lying to you. They're manipulating you. And that then triggered a bunch of these lawmakers to then start putting in calls directly to the Israeli authorities, to the prime minister's office, to the prison system. It triggered media. ABC did a story where they asked for comment from them. So basically what happened was we caught Israel in a number of like categorical lies where they had contradicted what their own prison medical records were saying, where Netanyahu was contradicting what the actual like charging document said. And that had to be pointed out directly to these lawmakers, who then finally were like, okay, this is getting ridiculous. And so like the reason I make that point is because, we've talked before, obviously, about like, I think the value of independent journalism versus mainstream journalism. Like, this took months and months and months and months of pressure and reporting to like be able to get all this stuff, to connect these dots, to find these contradictions, to then put it over to the lawmakers to force their hand. Whereas to the extent that any mainstream news outlet even covered this at all, and I should say like the New York Times did not, but like it's one story and then they forget about it. And there's just really, virtually no impact from that. So it took sort of relentless campaign of activists, of, independent journalists, of organizations, of the family to shame and pressure lawmakers until I think it basically became a big enough headache for them that they then started pressuring the Israeli government. It became a headache for them. And finally, with really no fanfare at all, they just sort of let him out.
Well, the rock throwing thing I just think is important to linger on for a bit because, one, there's like even like biblical symbolism in it too, with like David v. Goliath, which obviously Israel doesn't want to think about. But they've been using this excuse to crack down on protesters or any Palestinian resistance since, I guess even prior to the first Intifada. And I didn't even realize that Israeli law treats stone throwing as a felony, has a maximum penalty of up to 20 years, which just gives people a sense of like, one, the asymmetry of this conflict, I say in quotes, and two, the draconian nature of Israeli law and how it's even able to implement it, right? Just given the nature, it's talked about as if these are two sovereign entities, but the fact that Israel can charge a child essentially with a felony charge because Israel controls that area or can kidnap that kid because of the illegal occupation in the West Bank says everything here.
And the kids who they pick up on rock throwing charges are known as security prisoners. That puts them in the same category as like a Hamas fighter that was arrested after October 7th. They are treated under the same terror laws in Israel. They have the same conditions. Ben Gvir oversees it. When you hear Ben Gvir talking about starving terrorists in prison, torturing them, wanting the death penalty, that is capturing these kids who are accused of throwing stones. That's also the security prisoner designation is what Israel used to just unilaterally decide after October 7th that they were going to violate international law by barring Red Cross visits to security prisoners because it was a threat to Israeli national security. So connecting all these dots, what we're saying is kids like Mohammed and the other kids who were arrested with him, which I want to get back to in 1 second, these are treated by Israel as terrorists in the same way that a Hamas fighter would be treated and subjected to the same conditions. I want to just also make a point that I think that the reason that I really latched on to Mohammed's case and some others did, in addition to just sort of the merit of it, was that there was a chance to actually like have an influence since he's American, right? We had like some levers that we could try to pull. It was never to suggest that the other kids rotting away in prison were any less deserving of freedom. However, what ends up happening, which is kind of an amazing part of the story, is that after he's released, the family's lawyer, they basically immediately gather the families of the 3 Palestinian non-American kids who were all friends with Mohammed, who were arrested with him, and they use the deal that Mohammed got as leverage to basically say these kids are all being accused of the same thing. Mohammed was released, and they released the other 3 kids too. So that happened, I think, the day before yesterday. So now all 4 kids are out, and there's another 356 children in Israeli military detention that we know about, probably many more, but the family and certainly the organizations and the activists behind it and me as a journalist plan to like keep pushing on this to raise awareness for the fact that they are treating children in these military detention as terrorists who have been accused of nothing more than throwing a stone, if they're being accused of anything at all, and to push to get all of them out.
Can you talk about the prison where he was held? I'm looking at it now. Was it Ofer prison? Is that correct, Jasper?
He was in Ofer and also Megiddo.
Okay. Because Ofer, that name rang a bell, and then I was reminded of the fact that last year that head of some division of Al Shifa Hospital was tortured there, if I'm not mistaken. So was Mohammed being held amongst just all adults as a 15-year-old child in this prison that just tortured a doctor from Gaza?
Yeah, they're all in the same place. It's again like they do have prisons in Israel. This is not a regular prison. This is a military prison, military detention center. And yeah, I mean, Mohammed and children and grown-ups there are beaten and starved. I mean, the Israeli Supreme Court a couple months ago, maybe a month ago, actually ruled that the prison system was not giving enough food to their prisoners to survive. Literally ruled that it was starving them and ordered them to give them more food. And Ben Gvir, who as the national security minister oversees the prison system, just basically said no thanks. And so yes, I mean, like the conditions are barbaric. That's why they won't let the Red Cross in. It's why they won't let their families in to visit them. There's just no reason for it except for the fact that they're hiding that, or they're trying to hide that. I mean, to quote B'Tselem, which is an Israeli human rights organization, it's a network of torture camps.
Have you had the opportunity to talk with Mohammed? Like, are you going to? I would imagine, I really don't know. I'm not sure what I can imagine an experience like that as a 15, 16-year-old for 9 months in a network of torture chambers essentially would be like. But are you going to? Does he have a story to tell? Are we going to hear more about what's going on in there? I would guess there's some sensitivities in terms of like timing and protecting other people and his family and others, but what can you tell us, going forward that we can anticipate?
Yeah, I was able to FaceTime with him, and Yeah, I mean, it was really great. He's like all smiles now. I mean, like I said, he looks like he's just been through hell, which he has. He was also like, when I talked to him, he was really worried about his other friends. I mean, he had just gotten home the day before, and he had left home twice. Once was to visit the grave of his first cousin, Saifullah. By the way, he didn't know that Saifullah was beaten to death while he was in prison. So he gets out of prison and immediately finds out that his first cousin, who he looked up to, he was very close with, had been beaten to death. So one of his trips was to Saifullah's grave. The other trip that he took was to go visit the families of the other prisoners and to tell them about how their children are doing, since they had heard literally nothing. The family is taking care of a few things, and then they're going to come to Florida. Then I'm going to go down there and spend some time with them. And I mean, I think there's definitely a story to tell. Like, you know, obviously I'm not pressuring him to talk publicly because he's a kid, and he just, I think, is like, I knew it the whole time, but talking to him, I was like, yeah, this is like what it's like to talk to a child.
Right.
Like this is a kid. Like, he wants to go play with his friends. Like, I don't even think he has a sense of like, oh, I need to tell my story to the world. I think he's more like, I want to go play soccer, and like, I want to eat my favorite food, and I want to help get my friends out, and then I want to hang out with my friends. And so, but yes, like, the family certainly is committed to telling his story, not just to tell the story, but again, to raise the issue of, you know, all the child prisoners in Israeli military detention centers. But yeah, I'm going to go down to Florida as soon as they're over there, probably in a couple weeks, and we'll see what kind of story there is.
I want to touch a little bit about this. There was a protest in New York City last week, I guess it was, at an Upper East Side synagogue, where there was a program going on to essentially encourage people to make Aliyah, which is where Jews go to Israel to live. But it was also sort of like promoting areas where they could live, which is not Israel, but is occupied by Israel. And you talked about this in the context. The group is Nefesh B'Nefesh, dedicated to supporting, educating, and advising individuals and families throughout their immigration to Israel journey. But you talk about them in the context of another piece that you written, I guess it was now about 2 weeks ago, Good Settler, Bad Settler, which has been, you capture a dynamic in this piece that I feel like has been the conversation I've had with people who are, I mean, I don't know through the years that I would have like referred to it as supporting Zionism, but is supporting Israel and its expansionist policies. Walk us through that concept, and then, you know, we can apply it to what happened on the Upper East Side, but also in general. I think it's helpful for people at this point.
So I wrote this piece when the story of the explosion of settler violence in the West Bank during the olive harvest started to break through a little bit. I mean, obviously I'm pretty deep in it, so I don't have like a totally clear sense, but I mean, there were stories in the Times and the Washington Post. ABC did a story. Like, it seemed like it was becoming a story that there's this problem of these violent settlers. And it reached the point where Israeli authorities, including Netanyahu, including the army chief, and even leaders in the settlement movement, were coming out and condemning the settler violence. What they all say, the way they phrase it, is condemning the fringe anarchist youth, the band of roaming violent kids who are causing problems and making all the other settlers look bad. And so there's like this real concerted effort to frame the violent settlers that people see in these viral clips, wearing masks and clubbing people and setting fires and attacking people, to frame them as an outlier that is completely disconnected from the broader settlement movement, which is respectable and peaceful and whatnot. And the piece was meant to basically demonstrate that it's all one movement, and the violent settlers are essentially the tip of the spear. And I mean, what this actually looks like, just to be really blunt, or to be really specific, the head of the army, he's one of the people who condemned these violent settlers, and this guy is, or the head of the Central Command in the West Bank, Avi Bluth. He is in charge of going after these violent settlers. He comes out and condemns them, and he says, we'll be putting the full force of the military to go out and get them. So he says that. Days later, he signs off on authorizing 22 illegal outposts to begin the process of turning that into settlements. So what that actually means, an outpost is when these violent settlers or the anarchist, fringe settlers peel off from a settlement, and they go and they like plant a flag somewhere, and they put up a tent. I know we talked about this last time, and they just like basically steal a plot of land, and they start launching attacks from there. And sometimes the military comes in and like dismantles them when there's enough pressure, but then they go right back up, and they appear to be sort of acting on their own. But then some time passes, people forget about it, and the head of the Central Command, the guy who is supposed to be policing these people, authorizes them, begins the process of turning them into one of the respectable settlements. And when you look closely at the relationships between the violent settlers and the activists in the settler community and the leaders of the, ostensibly respectable settlement movement, they're working very closely to basically map out the West Bank, figure out like where are the places that we want to build our next settlement. They send out the, violent fringe youth who go and they terrorize Palestinians, and at a certain point maybe they chase them off the land, and then the good settlers come in and start to build a good settlement, and then the state comes behind them and authorizes it. And so this like whole thing of condemning the violent settlers, and the military claiming they're cracking down on them, and then Yahoo, like it's all part of this machine where they have to act like they're doing something about it. It sort of lets the tension out of the system, but it is quite literally the tip of the spear in the settlement movement. This is how they get new land that they then build settlements on. And so the thing that happened at the synagogue, if you look at the website of that organization, they present the respectable settlements. They, first of all, they just say they are part of Israel. They don't even distinguish between Israel and the occupied West Bank, but they paint this picture of these like really beautiful, well-run towns. And people who defend this say, these people are not connected to the violent settlers. But if you are supporting that organization, then you are, by definition, supporting the violence. And so I think that, to the extent that liberal Zionism is a real concept, I find it shocking that these people would associate with an organization that supports this movement. And the fact that there's not been more outrage among these ostensible liberal Zionists shows that at the very least, they are completely okay with the violent settler movement, which enables them to, to build these respectable, beautiful settlements that are ethnically cleansing the West Bank.
And we should say that the so-called good settlers in this instance are also illicit. Like these settlements are not legal. So it is where it's a little bit overused, but the Overton window just gets pushed further and further. Literally, they're dealing with a literal Overton window in the sense that they just keep creeping and essentially occupying illegally more and more space in the West Bank. But this dynamic, I should say, too, is also we see it in play with, I have a problem with this government, the Israeli government, as if, Netanyahu, who's been in power now more or less for 20 years, is some type of abnormality or, deviation from some other imagined trajectory that Israel is on. Like I think even in the context of the United States, I think we can understand this, that Donald Trump is not, was not dropped from the sky by an alien spaceship. He is a function of American society and indicative of a serious problem that America has. And Netanyahu has been, double the amount of time that Donald Trump is there. And they don't operate in an all or nothing political climate. They build coalitions. So there is more durability and depth to the support for a prime minister there than we would have in in our system. There's no good / bad apples here. It is like this is all part of a whole.
It's a simple fact that the settlement project in the West Bank, which is fundamentally a project of ethnic cleansing, is one of, if not the most consistent state project of Israel for the last, at least since 1967. And it is true, as you say, like figures like Netanyahu, obviously Smotrich, Ben-Gvir, like these guys are, in the case of Ben-Gvir and Smotrich, they are settlers. In the case of Netanyahu, he has, allied himself with them. They are pushing it forward, but there's just simply never been a meaningful effort to dismantle the settlement movement. And the point I make in that piece is there are absolutely people in Israel, politicians in Israel, who oppose the settlement movement. They do not want to see the settlement building accelerating. They think it's like a threat to security in Israel. They think it's causing them problems. They believe in, the 48 lines, but there's no actual movement to extract the settlers from the West Bank and to dismantle the settlement movement. And unless you do that, you are for the settlement movement, because what we see is that it's a movement that has to keep growing. It is fundamentally always growing, always looking for new places to settle. I mean, that's why they call it the settlement movement. And so, like people like to, I think the discourse gets flattened a lot on the internet, the way, especially like some anti-Zionist folks who like to say like they're all the same. The liberal Zionists, the settlers, the right wing, the left wing, like they're all the same. I mean, it's not true. Like they do have lots of political differences, but at the end of the day, they're all part of this same project. Unless the ostensible left wing in Israel is willing to actively dismantle the settlement movement, to remove the 750,000 settlers in East Jerusalem and the West Bank, then they're part of the settlement project. And that's just, it's not happening. So, I mean, we saw in, 2005, they had to get like a couple thousand settlers out of Gaza, and it was like almost caused a civil war.
Yep.
Yeah.
Jasper, really appreciate you coming and updating us on these different stories that you were pursuing while you were there. Again, we will link to Infinite Jazz on Substack. Really appreciate the reporting you're doing. It is, we've talked about it. It's shocking, the sort of dearth of reporting that comes out of the West Bank. And there's so much talk, discussion about the West Bank and about these things, and so little reporting, because I want to remind people, Israel is preventing journalists from going into Gaza, but ostensibly is not doing so the same for West Bank. And to the extent that there are correspondents from major news outlets in Tel Aviv, aside from the checkpoints and whatnot, as the crow flies, you're talking not hours, but minutes, really, to get to the West Bank.
You can land at Ben Gurion and be in the West Bank in like an hour.
I mean, it's easier than getting, from here to LaGuardia airport, essentially. And yet we don't see that reporting. And the absence of that reporting in and of itself, I think, is very telling. But Jasper, that's why I'm so grateful of the work you're doing and appreciate you coming on and talking to us about it.
Yeah, thanks, Sam and Emma. Great to see you both.
Thanks so much.
All right, folks, we're going to take a quick break, head into the fun half of the program. Listen, we want to hear from you about best ofs.
Mm-hmm.
This is it. There's a couple of days left, and then we shut the door. I'm not kidding. Email us at majorityreporters@gmail.com. Write in the words best of in the subject line and tell us which episode of the year. Maybe you have 4 episodes that you think were the best of. Maybe you have 6. If you get up in around 10, there'd be a problem. But send us your suggestions and they will. And just a reminder, November and December of last year are eligible, but not necessarily this year. So majorityreporters@gmail.com. Tell us what you want for the best ofs. Illuminati Kid says the Majority Report is completely lost. Dennis Sam used the word dearth correctly. Oh. Okay. I've used the word dearth correctly in the past. I just want to say we haven't changed around here. Also, if you want to support the program, join the majorityreport.com. Also, justcoffee.coop. Head over now. Use the coupon code majority, and this month you'll get 30% off. 30% off. Now is the time to check out those Just Coffee flavors that you want to try out. If you've never tried Just Coffee before, now is the time to do it. And do it quick, because if you're quick, maybe you get the opportunity to buy a bunch as gifts for people. Also, it's a great gift, particularly now, because coffee, Just Coffee is a co-op, so they keep their prices under control. But coffee across the board, super pricey.
Yep.
So check it out. Matt, what's happening in the Matt Leck podcast universe?
Yeah, live in 77 minutes. Left Reckoning episode 248. Jesus, we're almost at 250. You want to put this up for me, Brian? This is me and
Thomas Pynchon on.
I wish.
Oh my God, how young he is.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
only interview he's ever done.
He's had a little bit of work done.
He maybe talked to Paul Thomas Anderson, and we're still not even sure about that.
No, I think like that's that's the Illuminati for me, is if Pynchon gives me like a dinner invite.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we're talking about his new book, The Shadow Ticket, which is my favorite novel that I've read in half a decade. About a private eye. It's sort of a noir based in at the end of Prohibition, in the rise of the Nazis. Starts in Michigan, ends up over in Hungary and the Mediterranean. A great book. I talked to Devin about it for about 45 minutes. So this will be on in about 75 minutes.
Cool.
All right. Quick break. Fun half. 3 months from now, 6 months from now, 9 months from now. And I don't think it's going to be the same as it looks like in 6 months from now. And I don't know if it's necessarily going to be better 6 months from now than it is 3 months from now. But I think around 18 months out, we're going to look back and go like, wow. What? What is that going on? It's nuts. Wait a second. Hold on for a second.
The Majority Report.
Emma, welcome to the program.
Hey.
Matt.
What is up, everyone?
Nomi Key.
You did it.
Let's go, Brandon.
Let's go, Brandon.
Bradley, you want to say hello?
Sorry to disappoint everyone. I'm just a random guy.
It's all the boys today.
Fundamentally false.
No, I'm sorry. Women's.
Stop talking for a second. Now let me finish.
Where is this coming from, dude?
But dude, you want to smoke this 7A?
Yes.
Hi, me? Is it?
Yes.
Is this me?
Is it me?
It is you.
Is this me? Hello? Is this me?
I think it is you. Who is you? No sound. Every single freaking day. What's on your mind?
Sports. We can discuss free markets and we can discuss capitalism.
I'm gonna go throw up.
Libertarians. They're so stupid, though. Common sense says, of course.
Gobbledygook.
We fucking nailed him.
So what's 79 plus 21?
Challenge Matt.
I'm positively quivering. I believe 96, I want to say.
857-210-35-501. 1/2. 3/8.
9/11, for instance.
$3,400, $1,900.
6, 5, 4, $3 trillion sold. It's a zero-sum game.
Actually, you're making me think less of it.
But let me say this. Poop.
You can call it satire. Sam goes, it's satire.
On top of it all,
Yeah.
my favorite part about you is just like every day, all day, like everything you do.
Without a doubt. Hey, buddy, we see you. All right, folks.
It's just the week being weeded out, obviously.
Yeah, sun's out, guns out. I don't know.
But you should know.
People just don't like to entertain ideas anymore.
I have a question. Who cares?
Our chat is enabled, folks.
I love it.
I do love that.
Look, gotta jump. Gotta be quick. I gotta jump.
I'm losing it, bro.
2 o'clock. We're already late, and the guy's being a dick. So screw him. Sent to a gulag?
Outrageous.
Like, what is wrong with you?
Love you, bye.
Love you. Bye-bye. Oh, that doesn't work.
Oh my God.
There we go. What about that?
It looks horrible.
That's not good, right?
No.
We'll just stay right there.
Look like you're jaundiced now.
Right now, I still?
Yeah.
It's way worse.
Well, I was just at...
What setting is it? Cirrhosis?
How's that? That's not good, right? My shirt looks gray, though.
I don't know. We had it right during the...
There's no way to...
Well, that's where it was.
Yeah, that's just,
stay there.
And dear God, if you want to come at me that way, you're
Sam,
going to have to take it up with me.
Does it look different on your monitor? Because you look fully green. Like, face
now
is
it looks-
green.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's an auto.
We've
You have an
gotta
auto
fix-
setting because when you lean back, it changes the white balance, and when you lean forward, it looks better. I like.
Oh,
that
boy.
This is how the sausage is made.
What sausage? Is it edible? Because
my exposure's manual, but not my white balance. I don't think is.
Now, the proof will be in the pudding, and I'm sure I will understand everything that's happening.
this is better.
This is better.
Keep going.
I don't know what I did.
There we go. Much better. Stop. Don't touch it. Just.
Yes, that's perfect.
Just leave it.
That's auto white balance.
There you go.
God did that. I believe it.
Oh, please. Can we have someone
this looks
come
good.
in here and
This
tell
looks
us what to
good.
do? What?
This looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay.
We will win.
I think this looks all right.
I think it's good.
I know, I can't find that one. I'm looking for my job.
I mean, I think the problem is I'm pale and you're still tan from.
No, it's not. It's fake tan. You know I use fake tanner.
Well,
right?
you've got
Well, the camera
bronzer
can't
on,
tell.
so
And
the camera
bronzer.
can't tell. So that's the problem.
I
is
don't
that
think
I
that's
look
right. No,
jaundiced
the
because
problem
I'm jaundiced.
Is that we just need to take a day and figure it out, and maybe a professional can help us, like figure it out, and because of the show has nearly 2 million subscribers.
I think it's good.
MIDI doctor says shut the first half stream, please.
Oh.
Thank you. We were trying to fix the camera, right?
Yeah.
There's only 15 producers here.
The other 13 don't get to talk though.
Always go organizing. I'm the AV guy from Oklahoma. I reached out before. I'll help you.
Oh, yes.
Please, thank you.
Email again at Majority Reporters. I remember you.
It would be nice. It would make us feel good.
I don't feel bad. It's
Right,
really
but-
it just gets under your
but we,
skin.
But
That's
we
what it
spent
is.
like 20 minutes work. Like we could just have a setting and figure it out.
It looks good to me.
I don't want to bicker. I'm just saying that I feel like we could have a bit more standardized situation. That's all.
You think there's going to be something standardized in this? Look at what's going on here with the lights.
In terms of my neurological
Somebody's on
capacity,
MSNBC and CNN. Now.
I think I'm 5 years into working here. This is my one diva request. It's just if we could fix that, right? Maybe.
I mean,
request denied.
Exactly. Request denied. Listen, give it a couple of more. Give it another like 8 months. MS Now is going to be having to deal with the same problems.
You're probably so right.
There you.
It's going to be like in Seinfeld where they find the Merv Griffin set in the dumpster. We're just going to find the MS Now set in the
MS
dumpster.
Now stuff is just going to be like, hey guys, I just want to let you know we're moving into our new offices. It's at WeWork, and
I had to feel bad about WeWork when I was at TYT.
If you could pick up Joe Scarborough along the way, he's looking for a ride.
When I would film at the WeWork at TYT and I'd talk too loud, the guy in the office next door would bang on the glass.
Oh, I think I visited you there, or there was some other show.
Yeah,
there was some other show. I can't remember who those women were, but
it was a terrible situation. I had to move offices like 3 times, I think.
it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the Hegseth scandal is growing. People are starting to notice that, hey, wait a second, Hegseth is blaming he at first took responsibility for it. Let's start with let's go let's do the let's go back to September 3rd when these strikes started. Now, there's 2 things that are going on, and I want to read from Spencer Ackerman's piece on this. Spencer is been a longtime national security reporter. We've had him on this program. Very worth reading both his books and checking out his writing, which I believe is on Ghost. And he cites a working group of former judge advocates general that convened after Hegseth action this year to fire senior Army and Air Force JAGs. These are essentially the DOJ of the military. I don't know how else really do. Yeah, they're lawyers. And they put it. They made this statement on the strike. If the U.S. is at war, in quotes, in the waters near Venezuela, as Hegseth insists, then the double tap ordered by the commander of JSOC, that is who Hegseth claims ordered it, is an unambiguous violation of the law of armed conflicts prohibition on killing survivors of a military operation. So in other words, a war crime. But if the U.S. is not in such a state of war, as the Justice Department insists for the purpose of denying congressional authority over war. So understand, one part of Trump's regime says we're at war. The one that deals with legality says we're not, and so Congress doesn't have authority over it. Then Hegseth, Bradley, and everyone from the Secretary of Defense down to the individual who pulled the trigger are simply murderers. And that's why, to even call this a war crime, it seems to me to be unsettled because it's not clear that we're at war. This is a crime.
Yeah.
But here is Hegseth bragging about it. Now, this is back in September before I think Hegseth started to realize, oh.
He could still taste the blood in his mouth. Yeah. And by blood, I mean Bloody Mary.
So the president is sending a message to other cartels, right?
A very clear one. I can tell you that was definitely not artificial intelligence. I watched it live. We knew exactly who was in that boat. We knew exactly what they were doing, and we knew exactly who they represented. And that was Tren de Aragua, a narco-terrorist organization designated by the United States, trying to poison our country with illicit drugs.
How did you, if you knew that, how about you reveal the evidence? Because they were claiming there was fentanyl on the boat. They haven't revealed that evidence either. Fentanyl is not produced in Venezuela. If you're talking about drug trafficking, it's more cocaine.
They made it
And they're still not even basically showing the ties to so-called Tren de Aragua for many of these.
Because they made them up.
Let's go to 11. This is Chris Murphy on Pete Hegseth, who is now passing the buck to Mitch Bradley for the second boat strike. But again, you know, we're accepting the premise that this is anything but murder regardless of the second strike.
I think that the reason that they're using the war crime thing as the baseline is because that's basically irrefutable. Even if you want to take the Trump administration's insane premise at face value, you're still on sound legal footing to call it a war crime.
Right.
Because the premise that they're pushing is the idea that we're already at active war with Venezuela. Now you would need Congress to declare war. You can't just change Secretary of Defense to Secretary of War and call it a day. But even if you were to grant them this crazy premise, because since 9/11, you know, the authorization for the use of military force has basically been in the hands of the executive branch, it would still be a war crime. But to your point, it's just murder.
But here's Murphy.
Reacting to this tweet in real time. Yeah.
So Secretary Hegseth has just posted something that I wanted to ask you about. He said, let's make one thing crystal clear. Admiral Mitch Bradley is an American hero, a true professional, and has my 100% support. I stand by him in the combat decisions he has made on the September 2nd mission and all others since. America is fortunate to have such men protecting us. When this Department of War says we have the back of our warriors, we mean it. Okay, let me just translate this into he's pinning this on Bradley. Okay, he's saying that's what that's about, right? I mean, where do you see this headed?
He is passing the buck. He sort of sees the freight train that is coming, right? That both Republicans and Democrats are coming to the conclusion that this was an illegal, wildly immoral act, and he is shifting the blame. It's the opposite of the buck stops here. And boy, it's a chilling signal to everyone in the chain of command that the Secretary of Defense does not have your back. Now, in this case, it seems likely that he actually did give the order, that he gave the order to kill everyone on that boat, and that those in the chain of command were simply following his orders. But he is basically telling everyone, all of his generals, all of the professional staff of the Department of Defense, that I'm going to save myself if things get tough. And that's just devastating for American national security.
I think it's healthy, at the very least, that Hegseth realizes, like, oops, I got to throw somebody else under the bus. It's healthy that there's a bus coming.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. And here is Senator Chuck Schumer.
Driving that bus.
Driving that bus. And he's got a hammer, and he is going to drop that hammer on somebody. Folks, here's Chuck Schumer laying down the law.
You called on Hegseth to release the full tapes of the attack. We heard earlier in the show Chairman Wicker saying that he is seeking those tapes as well. What sort of action are Democrats prepared to take to try to make
Pause it for 1 second. What sort of action are Democrats prepared to take? Oh, step back, Jake Tapper. You're about to find out.
Jason Bourne.
Yeah. I'll tell you what kind of actions the Democrats are about to take. Just go back just a little bit so we can hear Jake Tapper ask that question again. So that people can remember, the question is, what action are Democrats going to take?
Seeking those tapes as well. What sort of action are Democrats prepared to take to try to make this happen, to getting those tapes?
Well, we hope that we can bring before the committees, bipartisan, as you said, Senator Wicker has been very much involved here, and get the top military people to testify, and we hope that they will release the tapes. You know, Hegseth is hiding something here, and he's known to be a liar. He said that the Washington Post story had no validity, and today the White House directly contradicted him that it did. And if he has nothing to hide, if he said he did nothing wrong, if he said no laws were violated, release the tapes.
Took the finger out.
He does have something to hide, so he's not going to release the tapes. What are you going to do about it?
Well, he's a liar. He's a liar, and we're going to say we hope you release the tapes. In fact, we hope we can get someone to testify. So look out, Jake Tapper. There's a new hopeful sheriff in town. We hope this is going to happen.
Chuck's driving that bus, but it's just under the speed limit.
Well, I hope to drive the bus. I'm hoping the bus gets here and there's gas in it and
slowing down the bus.
Hitting the
brakes on the bus.
We're going to be super tough about this.
Shifting down to first gear on the bus.
No, we're leaving the bus in neutral because that's bipartisanship, okay?
Idling forward.
Momentum.
You don't want to be partisan about...
The bus is idling forward.
We're going to very ambitiously hope.
I'm going to work with this hill and hope I can roll up
We've hit a short bump and now we've stopped moving forward.
We don't want to pick sides between potential and kinetic energy. We just want...
Okay, we're going to...
That's called bipartisanship.
That's exactly right. That's why we're in neutral, baby.
Let me add to that, Jake. We're going to pray and hope. Hope and prayers. That's what we're going to do. Yep.
I might throw in a wish.
I guess that's how they become the immovable object.
Jake, are you familiar with dandelions?
Is it good?
Do you know that they become floaty things?
Yes.
But have you ever blown on one and made a wish beforehand? That's what I'm going to do.
Oh, that's so...
Double down.
That's so beautiful.
Double down.
Good contrast with Chris Murphy, I think. Are you still going? I'll wait until you're done.
No, go ahead.
Okay,
the heat is on them when they do this.
Good contrast with Chris Murphy, who I can't look at you. It's distracting. Damn it! What? God damn it! Just go.
Good contrast to Chris Murphy.
Well, why don't you get your big buddy Chris Murphy to help you?
Go ahead, promote Chris Murphy.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I forget.
Go ahead.
So much better than Chuck.
Okay, yeah. Well, he doesn't.
This could have been the point that
He's
changed
not.
the world
Here's
forever.
the problem. Chris Murphy.
Yeah.
Not hopeful.
Right. Not hopeful enough.
No.
Not on board with the dandelion
thing. He's not hopeful.
It is.
I'm not taking these off.
Yeah. Okay.
Nope.
All right. Well. All right. Let me turn to Brian. Brian, as a former military man, is
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you for showing me such respect. Is it a little concerning that Pete Hegseth is throwing his second in command on this, or the admiral under the bus? Because, like, I'm not trying to live out here, but it is pretty bad if the top members of the Department of Defense or, like, the military don't have any faith that their leader is going to have their back.
Well, we hope that they do have faith.
That's good.
Yep.
That's good to know.
Are you talking about the sanctity of the chain of command?
I'm not trying to be a lib about it, but like in terms of basic functioning of our military, it feels pretty rudimentary.
It does, but it also feels like nothing new.
Yeah, as the head of the Department of War.
Sorry.
All right.
I want to have your back.
Yeah, well.
But the military is not the most honorable organization.
I get it, but throwing him under the bus in public?
We hope it's honorable.
Yeah.
As the head of the Department of War, I like to make it clear that I stand behind whoever the buck stops at.
It really is. I love the phrasing of, like, he is a real patriot. And when he did this, when he did it with the best of intentions.
Right.
Nobody's going to tell me otherwise, okay?
Had no idea what he was doing, but I support it now.
If you're coming after this guy, you're going to have to know that I stand behind him, well behind him, like without, like at least 20 yards behind him.
Yeah.
You're
going to have to come at him like that, you're going to have to take it up with him.
Yep.
Are you telling me the alcoholic with like 15 wives and 40 mistresses doesn't know how to take responsibility for his actions?
No.
Yeah, like the guy who literally, people forget this, his mom wrote a letter saying that I can't trust you.
You're an abuser of women.
This is the tweet he put out, just for folks who don't know what we're talking about.
I'm going to do this in a tough voice. Let's make one thing crystal clear. Admiral Mitch Bradley is an American hero, a true professional, and has my 100% support. I stand by him and the decisions he has made. Specifically on September 2nd, the mission. And
You know
all
what I'm talking
others
about.
since.
Slippery Pete.
Every single decision he may have made that may have been war crimes that he made, decisions that he made that I was not aware of until this time,
Yeah.
I support at least him. I stand by it.
America is fortunate to have such men protecting us. When this Department of War says we have the back of our warriors, we mean it. And what it means is we're behind them, using them as human shields.
Exactly.
I'll throw a yoga mat down before I throw you under the bus.
Right, exactly. We literally have grabbed the backs of and putting them right in front of us.
Manipulating them to make sure they're right in front of us.
But I just like also, so you were there, dude, but you didn't issue any orders. You just gave a general.
I had my popcorn out.
You just gave a general vibe that you'd be cool with Admiral Bradley doing his thing today. He's a hands-off manager, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, like
I trust you.
Yeah.
Even if you take him at his word, like actually your role should be to step in and say, hey, let's not do the war crimes thing.
But
like,
isn't that the fascists? That's all they're doing. This administration
it's passing the buck.
Passing the buck. They're both the strongest men in the world, and they're out of central casting like Pete Hegseth, but also so weak and ineffective that they can't control their underlings.
I don't know any better.
I was just watching. I was a spectator.
I'm Widow
I'm
Petey.
innocent.
I had front row seats. What do you want me to do? I was getting popcorn.
I was grabbing a brew.
Yeah, right.
I was looking for a can opener or a bottle opener.
Oh shit! You already blew it up. I go out for one beer.
You guys should have paused it.
Come on, guys. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh, and there has to be. You have to understand too that there has to be two sides to every argument. There is the it's a war crime. There is it's just a crime on top of other crimes. Then of course there's the side of the argument that Hegseth is promoting, which is they did it. I still like these guys, but they did it. I mean,
I support them for doing what they did.
I support them, even though it was their decision. Has nothing to do with me.
I was out of the loop, but
I
love
support
it.
my men. Even sometimes when they do things that are not appropriate, which I had no idea about. Well, there also has to be another side of that argument, which is, of course, that we should, in fact, kill them all, and there should be no such thing as crimes or war crimes. And for that, I give you Megyn Kelly.
So I really do kind of not only want to see them killed in the water, whether they're on the boat or in the water, but I'd really like to see them suffer. I would like Trump and Hegseth to make it last a long time so that they lose a limb and bleed out a little. Like, I'm really having a difficult time ginning up sympathy for these guys who,
look at Mark
10
Halpin's
seconds
face.
earlier,
What
almost
am I
got
doing
taken out
here?
by
How
the
far
initial
I've
bomb,
fallen.
but because they managed to get ejected, a little too soon, had to be taken out in the water. I realize legally it may make a difference, but truly, Mark, this is a tough case to really gin up the sympathies of the American people.
Yeah. Well, first off, you should know that the issue isn't about sympathies. It's just about law.
Yeah, right.
It's just about law. But I don't know, what the value to her to be so bloodthirsty, but she's just covering for her buddy, Pete Hegseth.
Yep.
That's basically it.
Yeah. I mean, also trying to make waves and say something inflammatory. She knows how the media ecosystem works on the right.
It's pretty impressive. And what is Halpern doing these days?
I was just thinking, did he get Me Too'd or something?
Oh, yeah, I think he did. There was something to that effect.
Yeah.
Classic.
And imagine having to
Scoundrels.
sit there now, and he's a real news person who has to sit there as she's going like, we should make all of these people, incidentally, we don't know who they are.
Right.
I mean, never mind the fact that she wants to torture. I mean, that's what she wants to make them all suffer if they're drug dealers.
We should have really locked some torture people.
We don't have any idea who these people are. There's been no proof given whatsoever. And even then, there's been no authorization to do any of this. It's crazy.
War crimes.
Wasn't it like 2 weeks ago where she was talking about like 16-year-old girls or fair
Yeah.
game or something?
No, they were. What did she call them?
They're not.
said there's a
it's not
difference.
pedophilia. It's
She called them barely legal when they're in fact
Right, barely illegal.
completely illegal.
What a
She's
pick
just a
me.
shock job.
She's a scoundrel.
Yeah,
Like she
yeah.
is a literal scoundrel.
But remember when she was rehabilitated by the Today Show or whatever, and then
Because Trump did misogyny to her.
no, it was her boss, Roger Ailes, that has actually
Oh, right,
harassed
that's
her.
right.
But she's not a supporter of other women. That's not like it taught her a lesson. That's a lesson that we could all, I think, take away from some of this stuff, is that sometimes suffering and hard times don't actually make you a better person. You might just be an asshole.
Meanwhile, Donald Trump seems to have had an episode last night. Now, look, I'm sure we've all been there. Maybe that one time that you took some Ambien and, forgot to go to sleep and stayed up and did weird stuff, or maybe when you were in a panic about something. There are times where, I think all of us here have, maybe we've been on Twitter too much. Maybe we posted too much one time because there's a certain amount of anxiety, or we're depressed about something, or whatever it is. Last night,
It's funny picturing him having anxiety.
Donald Trump.
Am I good enough?
Over the course of 2 hours, are we at the top of this? Okay. Over the course of 2 hours, posted on Truth Social hundreds of times.
Do you think he took the Adderall and then forgot he took it and then took another?
I honestly, I don't know. This is doubled up.
Is this is that Deborah Messing who did all the Instagram
Yes.
stories? He's going Messing mode here.
He is, yes. Yes.
It doesn't even seem like there's a theme to this other than
He does seem to post everything twice, I'm noticing, or quite a few.
Yeah.
He must have had bad service. That
It was
happens.
driving him crazy.
Yeah.
I wonder if he didn't realize that he had posted everything twice. That's very strange. Wait, go back. What was the ads are the best. Oh, thanks to this gelatin recipe, I went from 208 all the way to 134
That's quite a
pounds.
lot. I don't know if you're
70.
Sounds like there was a parasite in that gelatin.
Yeah, it's
not
called
safe.
Typhoid Jello. Okay, we're just going through here. There's two videos of
me
him.
twice.
Okay, that's good. Did I post
Me
that? I
again.
can't remember. I'm gonna post
There I
it
am
3
again.
times. 3 times. I posted it 3 times.
Ooh,
Ooh,
okay.
we will hunt you down.
I've been on camera so much.
It does.
Harry Emden.
It does seem like he's doing a lot of these twice. Ilhan Omar. I mean, it's like literally every single one of his mental tics over and over again.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
I mean, I wonder what it is that's driving.
I'm going to
this
speed this up just a
psychosis.
little bit here.
You don't want to watch about 5 minutes?
Oh my God.
We're not even 1/3 of the way through.
Here,
This is a
sped up.
2-hour period, folks.
Jello.
Yeah, we should know what he was up to at this time. There should what's the president's?
It's
like,
concerning.
What are the timestamps on this?
It's according to the tweet, it's within 2 hours.
I know, but is it at 8 p.m. at night or 2 in the morning?
I read
Or?
somewhere
It was
started
late
at
last
midnight.
night.
I work late.
Which is crazy because isn't the reporting that he isn't getting into the Oval Office or working until 11?
Yeah.
Well, now you know why.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, I'm
Night
like this
owl?
too.
Yeah.
Hard at work at night.
I have a hard time thinking that he has your schedule, Matt.
Yeah, we got the same thing.
Is he play? Is he playing video games?
He's playing 2K.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what he's not doing is reading.
Yeah.
That's the big difference.
I'm reading the new pension novel.
I've read it 4 times.
Just need to blow off some steam. Wow.
Daphne and Bruno, huh?
It's a cry for help, but you understand, there's certainly like people whose job it is to monitor what he's tweeting out. But the problem is that nobody wants to go in and be the one to say, hey, boss,
Yeah.
maybe stop posting, because that person is
Well, it should
done.
be Susie Wiles, right?
Right.
But that's basically her whole job, is navigating Trump's moods and not pissing him off, but trying to rein him in a little bit. But
She could also be sleeping at 1 in the morning when
Believe that
somebody
job's
gets
called au pair.
Yeah. Oh God, that's why his chief of staff is a woman, because he associates that with caregiving. But
She's dressed like a nanny.
yeah, she. Oh shoot, I had something else. God, I'm off on this. No, forget it then.
We have this. So what is this, Brian?
So I just want to show what kind of state he's in today after what happened
Oh
last
yes.
night. Yeah. Yeah, this is... earlier in this video, he said affordability is a Democrat scam, but this is him falling asleep.
I think he's been especially angry and unhinged since the Epstein vote. I think that really is the marker
Definitely.
of when, that was what I meant to say earlier, when he's begun this, like that's when the escalation of shut up piggy or whatever, all of the ad hominems on those female reporters. And he's been so manic since that point. And I think, it's December 18th. That the deadline is for these files. We'll see what the workaround is. But all of that, they're going to try to conceal some of this information, but that's what's happening in the background.
Here he is today after working so hard last night.
I was up till 2 in the morning.
Posting.
Yeah.
Post jag.
What do they call that? Revenge sleep, when you stay up scrolling and not. I'll have to look up there's a term for that. Yeah. There it is.
Employees. Promoting retirement security, the department rescinded the Biden administration's guidance that restricted the use of crypto in the retirement investments, and we're seeing more and more of that, where we also rescinded the federal statement that discouraged the fiduciaries from considering the alternative assets for 401ks.
Fiduciaries. It's like a lullaby.
Ending abuse of cheap foreign labor.
Give me my brightest tie to keep you awake.
I'm awake. I'm awake.
Takes me back to college math.
I'm awake.
See, maybe he is like you, Matt. He just smoked a fatty.
I'm saying.
Mr. President, we want the trained workforce, but we will root out the fraud and abuse.
Lids are getting so heavy.
Still talking.
My lids are getting so heavy. I'm just about out.
For businesses,
gotta move my head.
My eyes are almost closed because I'm paying so much attention.
nearly $1 billion
I could use a toot.
by just
I could use a toot. Okay.
that they've had to do. So, Mr. President,
Good night.
continuing to
Good
skill the
night.
American work.
Good. Oh my God, I could watch that for an hour. I could watch that for an hour.
It's so boring. When
Let's
I'm
start
not
at
talking.
the beginning again, because he's like literally. Look, I mean, I'm a couple of years away from this, so I gotta be, like sort of judicious, but
Employees.
reminds me of someone who was at my Thanksgiving who was of a different generation. I'm not going to be explicit, but I've seen this before.
There's nothing wrong with it. It's just
Look at he's
with Trump.
If you're the head executive of the
Yes.
entire world.
Yes. And I mean, that time
He's
showed
going
him
to
sleeping.
drop on that table. Honestly, like this
They
is
need a hook on the back of his collar and the chair. So
this is
Velcro strap.
This is the one time where I would be okay with a real time trade sports or Kalishi,
Betting?
whatever that is. Yeah, just people just constantly throwing down. He's gonna hit the table. He's gonna hit the table. He's gonna hit the table. I want that video because I could watch that for an hour.
Just put it on a loop for 10 hours.
What do you think Trump says in his sleep?
We should play the.
Why is Tiffany here?
Who let Tiffany in?
This is my nightmare.
So boring.
So ballroom, ballroom.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the let's play this clip from, is it Jamie Dimon and Aaron Burnett? This is clip number 7. This is important, and I'll tell you, this is what's important about the Pete Hegseth thing too. And this is why, we made fun of Chuck Schumer saying, I hope he releases the tape, et cetera, et cetera. What we need for Democrats now, and I understand Democrats have no power within the context of the Senate. Now, I think that's overstated. I think they do have power. They can be obstacles to things happening in the Senate. But they also get on TV. Chuck Schumer gets on TV. And there is value in saying, Pete Hegseth can give us the tapes now, or it can wait until we take control of the Senate. Because when we take control of the Senate, people are going to be held to account for illegal things that happen now. Just because you think that you can get away with it because Donald Trump is the president, he's not going to be the president forever. And Thune is not going to be the head of the Senate forever. There's going to be accountability. It's just a question, not when, not if rather, but when. That's the kind of words that you need because people hear that. Here is Jamie Dimon explaining why J.P. Morgan Chase is less than interested in being involved in the whole ballroom. This is the type of attitude every single CEO, every single military personnel, every single ICE officer, every single DHS official, everyone in our government and our society should understand that at one point, this clown car is going to be over and you could be held accountable.
So you're renovating and building this new office space in Detroit, much smaller scale than what's happening in Washington, right, where the East Wing has been demolished for what's going to be a very, very large ballroom that the president is
Interesting
building.
segue.
Now, a lot of CEOs have rushed to donate to this, right? And it matters to him, right? So he looks at the list. On that list, you got Amazon, Coinbase, Google, you got a whole lot of others. Comcast, tons of companies on there. I didn't see JP Morgan Chase on that list. Did you think about it? Is there any chance you're going to do it?
You have to look at we have an issue, okay, which is anything we do, since we do a lot of contracts with governments here and around the world, we have to be very careful how anything's perceived, and also how the next DOJ is going to deal with it. So we're quite conscious of the risk we bear by doing anything that looks like, buying favors or anything like that. So, do we do things like that? And but we also have policies where we don't do certain things,
right?
Because it just makes it easier for us. We have helped the inaugurations. That was a normal thing that a lot of companies did.
Right.
So we'll see.
But the concern of buying favors. I want to.
Those words, we don't know how the next DOJ is going to look at this. Like, this should be the obvious talking
100%.
points of Chuck Schumer. Is like, if you can't get the tapes, you can't get the records from Pete Hegseth, you can say at one point you're going to be held to account. And stonewalling now is not going to help you. That's the kind of rhetoric we should be hearing. Not, well, we hope they do the right thing. It's bipartisan, so we hope they do the right thing.
Yeah. There's a full list of donors to the ballroom. I guess JP Morgan Chase isn't a part of them, but Amazon, we've read this before, Apple, Booz Allen Hamilton, which that's the tobacco company, right? Or no, maybe I'm wrong. Contractor, sorry. There's other tobacco companies here, but Lockheed Martin, Google, HP, Palantir, of course, T-Mobile, Tether, Union Pacific Railroad, the Lutnick family. That's not shocking.
It's a kickback, basically.
The Winklevosses, but like Comcast too. These are all companies. Google, they want mergers approved. They want to buy favors, and I wonder what gave Dimon that impression, that there would be some sort of recourse for this, if that has come from any Democrats he's spoken to, because he's very well connected with like the Obama wing of the Democratic Party, as we well know.
I think he's just being like, he's just stating the obvious. But the reason why you want Democratic officials out there
Yeah.
saying this kind of thing is it does two things. One, it begins to like sharpen people's like, willingness to go along with the Trump administration. And the other thing it does is it indicates to citizens, to voters, that there's something wrong here and that the Democrats are convinced it is. And the Democrats are saying justice is going to prevail. You understand that you can't, the words justice will prevail doesn't make any sense unless there's some injustice that is taking place right now. And this is the way for Democrats to do this. And it also, frankly, it's like the least partisan way.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying that like it would stand to reason that he would bet that the Democrats would cave and be pathetic and not go after anybody if they take the White House, right? So I just wonder where he's getting that impression, or if he's there. Another thought I have is that Wyden in the Senate is doing that probe into J.P. Morgan Chase's ties to Epstein.
Yes.
So if he plays nice on this, then he's in better standing with the Democrats.
Yeah, I definitely feel like he's a little bit concerned about that. I think that's exactly what motivates him.
I mean, look up the big New York Times expose on J.P. Morgan's just shoveling out pure hard cash to Epstein during the height of his crimes.
All right, let's check in with what is this? This is the affordability. Oh, okay.
This is from that same meeting he was sleeping at.
Yeah, so Donald Trump woke up during his White House meeting long enough to realize, like, oh, there's going to be a problem. And he, remember, like, right after Mamdani won, he said, we've got to do more on affordability. And then somehow somebody got to him or something happened in his brain, and he, within 24 hours, had gone the complete opposite way. And now he just seems to be annoyed by it for some reason. And it's unclear why he's so annoyed by this. Maybe it's because inflation is up and he's afraid of basically, he's read a little George Lakoff and he's like, don't mention an elephant or don't think of an elephant. If you talk about the need for affordability, the predicate of that is things are too expensive. And that means that people are noticing that there's inflation. Remember, this is the same guy who said, don't let the boat come in that has the people with the COVID because then we'll have COVID.
Yep.
It was like, yeah, don't test.
Don't test, or people will know we have COVID. If you don't test, there's no COVID.
The numbers don't go
When
up.
you think of him as just a marketing savant and being a total dumbass in every other area, it solves some things, I think, in terms of understanding his psychology.
And it didn't have much of an impact because the prices were very high. But our prices now for energy, but for gasoline are really low. Electricity's coming down. And when that comes down, everything comes down. But the word affordability is a Democrat scam. They say it, and then they go on to the next subject. And everyone thinks, oh, they had lower prices. No, they had the worst inflation in the history of our country. Now, some people will correct me, because they always love to correct me, even though I'm right about everything. But some people like to correct me, and they say 48 years. I say it's not 48 years. It's much more. But they say it's the worst inflation that we've had in 48 years. I say ever. But whether it's 48 years or ever, it's pretty bad. We had the worst inflation that we've ever had.
It's exhausting.
But he's clearly worried about this affordability thing because he sees it all over the place, and he cannot hide from the fact that prices are up, that we have essentially a split economy. You could see it. This Black Friday was the highest revenue ever. Now, there's two things that are operating in that instance. One, it could be a function of prices being higher. And two, the other issue is that you have such incredible wealth disparity in this country that, and we now know statistics show that much of our consumer economy is driven by the top 20% of the income distribution.
Yep. That's where, like, what was it? The top 20%, 10%, I think, is accounting for half of all consumer spending. That says it all.
That says it all.
And this is the same, like, I mean, this is part of what lost Biden the election too, was relying on these traditional economic indicators and then Kamala Harris losing the election because their line was basically like, these traditional economic indicators show the economy's hot, it's growing, and like, that's true. But it was still a very similar dynamic where 80% of the country wasn't feeling those economic gains. It's just like the naturally incurring inflation at the beginning of Biden's term was largely unavoidable, but Trump has supercharged the inflated prices with the tariffs, which was entirely avoidable.
And understand what's going to happen with the tariffs. Costco has sued.
Yes.
Now, they sued because they were concerned about the statute of limitations ending before the Supreme Court rules on the tariffs. And so you're seeing like a bunch of companies are going to be suing. A bunch of them are suing so that they can, at the very least, meet the statute of limitations. You have to sue within a certain period of time from the tariffs being issued, I guess.
Yep.
And I don't know how the Supreme Court will handle it if they address the legality of these afterwards. But aside from the fact that the U.S. government may have to pay back billions, hundreds of billions of dollars to these companies, I can assure you that these companies who largely passed on these costs to the consumer are not going to send checks to the consumers. What they're going to do is they're just going to take, this is going to be a big shareholder distribution. Now, of course, you've got guys like the Lutnick sons, Uday and Kusei, who have bought up a lot of like essentially the claims, and I bet you they have sued, claims to a tariff rebate. But this is also going to exacerbate wealth disparity because the money has been taxed essentially from anybody who had to buy goods. It goes into this sort of like escrow account that is the government. The Supreme Court's going to end up ruling that these tariffs are not legal. A bunch of this money is going to, the U.S. Treasury is going to have to pay a bunch of this money back to these corporations. And the corporations are just going to have it as like a shareholder distribution.
Yeah. I mean, I'm also curious about the rise of these buy now, pay later companies that are completely unregulated, but are at basically every checkout where you're looking to buy something. There was an article earlier this year where Katrina vanden Heuvel was pointing this out, like that DoorDash did a partnership with Klarna earlier this year. So like, say you need to buy $30 for your meal, you do that in 4 installments. And if you miss a payment, then the interest rate is incredibly high.
People are financing their takeout.
Right. Meaning like if you can't afford to pay for your meal at the beginning, like in one payment, you're not going to have that money most likely. And that's the bet of these companies in 4 weeks or whatever. You're going to need to make one of those payments. And so they also offer higher, smaller payments over a longer period of time, but with higher interest rates as well. And of course, the cop's completely off the beat under the Trump administration. So consumer spending might be high, but it doesn't mean that like people aren't going into the cycle of debt. We have reached an all-time high of consumer debt right now. It was month over month, missed car payments and defaults keep rising. And so that's the indication about like what this economy actually looks like.
There was a record number spent on Black Friday, despite the fact that fewer items were bought. Like, that tells you everything.
It says everything. And God, we haven't even gotten the tax cuts yet for the rich. That's next year, right?
Mm-hmm.
So.
Prehipio. My friend just finally looked at her finances. Her Klarna account is 39% annual percentage rate. Like
These are like payday lenders that are basically at your checkout for Macy's or whatever.
And the scam is that they say like, well, it's actually no interest if you do it in this for installments.
Yep. And that's for people that are using that regularly. They're betting on that not happening.
Why is it that in America, this is what we've been doing? This is the sort of advancements that we've been making, and you have other countries that have like massive infrastructure. It's because in America, the only thing that our political economy is geared toward is making more money for the people who make money with money. It's not about producing things. Like this is why we're
financier.
It's why we're fixated on AI now, because that's money for nothing for whoever deploys it. We're just so fixated not on building things but making money.
Yep.
Let's get to this 23 because it's gonna run out of salience soon. But then I want to do 21 paired with Spencer Ackerman, just to compare and contrast two different theories about this. But first, let's start with this. As you are aware, Zohran Mamdani won over 50% of the vote. I guess it was about a month ago now. In the New York City mayoral election, he defeated two people. One was Andrew Cuomo, and one was the Republican Curtis Sliwa. Andrew Cuomo was running on the I Love Florida ticket. I'm not sure which one it is.
He didn't
Miami Nights.
He didn't get the Stop Anti-Semitism endorsement that was Eric Adams before he dropped out. He was just independent.
And Andrew Cuomo threatened to move to Florida if Mamdani won. I've heard nothing about his trip to Florida, I would imagine. But apparently either A, WABC studios have a satellite studio in Florida, or B, he hasn't been able to leave the city yet. Maybe he's just waiting for Mamdani to be sworn in, to be fair. But here he is on a radio program with his former lieutenant governor, David Patterson, who was appointed. I'm sorry. This was
former governor.
Not Cuomo's. I think it was Spitzer's maybe, and he became governor when Spitzer resigned, and now Patterson is a radio talk show host. Nothing wrong with that.
No, but
here's Andrew Cuomo.
And Patterson's been very anti-Mamdani, right? Do you remember this? Like he came together with a bunch of has-beens to say that we have to support, defeating this guy, and he failed.
Oh, yeah, we know where Patterson is. Now, here is a clip of Andrew Cuomo finally taking some accountability for himself. Remember, this is a guy who was accused very credibly of sexually assaulting 13 women, ranging from people who worked for him, ranging from state troopers. I mean, a very wide variety of people.
Yeah.
And he also ran a primary where he got really beaten badly in the primary. And then a general election, despite the millions upon millions of dollars from billionaires he got, he also underperformed. And, partly people say he was lazy. Well, here is a time for him to take some accountability.
Sliwa has been a total fraud for decades. I think Sid Rosenberg was still in Florida when it turned out that the Guardian Angels and Sliwa made up a whole raft of stories of rescues that they did that turned out not to be true. That Sliwa said he was kidnapped by the New York Police Department and held, and then admitted that wasn't true. But he, I believe, he cost me the election. I believe if he did not run, I would have won.
It wasn't like he presented any issues of any deep thought or actions he's taken in the past that improve the quality of life for New York citizens. It's just that he likes to be noticed. He likes to walk around with capes on and the whole thing and say things about everybody, when in fact, he got 7. He got 7. Even the Jets had more than 7 yesterday, Andrew.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
Well, first off, there's a couple of things to note.
I know, but like, I'm
Think of all the
sorry,
people
but
listening.
this sounds like really, the most out of touch New Yorkers just who's glance the front page of the New York Post and then just shit talk.
There's a couple of things that you should note. One is that Curtis Lewa used to work at WABC. He did not return after and so Patterson may have picked up a slot on WABC because Sliwa wasn't there, and he clearly resented him. Sliwa was a much better radio host than Patterson. That's not important. The other thing is neither one of these geniuses apparently know math, because if every single vote that Sliwa got, and I wouldn't be so sure about this, frankly, but every single vote that Sliwa got went to Cuomo, Cuomo would have lost.
Yep.
That's what happens when you have 100% and one person gets slightly more than 50%. The other person gets slightly less than 50% and they lose.
And that is banking on the fact that 100% of Sliwa voters would have come over to Andrew Cuomo, which doesn't seem realistic.
No, in fact, there was a lot of things that, Sliwa was very populist in his appeal. And
they hate Cuomo.
And,
Right.
and
The
they
Republicans.
hate Cuomo because if they wanted to stop Mamdani, they would have voted for Cuomo.
Exactly. I'm glad he referenced Sid Rosenberg too, because that was I couldn't think of the other two guys that were flanking David Patterson in his press conference against Zoran. It was John Cassimatidis, the billionaire conservative radio host, and Sid Rosenberg, a right-wing radio personality, that were also in attendance. So, this is just people, talking in an echo chamber here.
Old demons.
Katsimandis is basically like the physical embodiment of like a 20th or 19th century plutocrat, literally a real estate and a guy and a grocery store owner.
Let's go to number 17 first, because I want to do a compare and contrast. Here is Spencer Ackerman on this is number 17 on Democracy Now, talking about the Lockenwall, the person who killed one National Guard, and I think seriously critically wounded a second National Guardsman. I'm not sure what the status is of that second one, but I think they're still in critical condition. Shot them while they were deployed in D.C. Remember that a court had said that their deployment was illegal, and that was up on appeal. And this guy, Ronmunula Lockenwall, had served in a paramilitary unit in Afghanistan set up by the CIA. And you made this point yesterday, Emma, how young he must have been when he first got a gun in his hand. And
Something like 15 or 16.
Spencer Ackerman makes this point here.
Killed for the CIA in Afghanistan. Trump blames Afghan culture instead of Langley's. Can you elaborate?
Yes, your guests have spoken very eloquently about the betrayal and the dishonor that the collective guilt of Afghan refugees ascribed by the Trump administration for this horrific murder is having. What we're focusing on less is that the person who committed allegedly these crimes, Lockenwall, had a gun put in his hand when he was a child by the CIA. Apparently, when he was 14 or 15, he was brought into the Zero Unit number 3 around Kandahar. Apparently, his brother told the New York Times. Apparently, his brother, the New York Times reported, was a deputy commander of this unit. This unit was a death squad. The United States made this person into a child soldier and now is experiencing what I think is one of the most horrifically bright line cases of imperial blowback that we've seen throughout the war on terror. If the United States wants to find out whose culture is responsible for this horrific crime, it needs to start by knocking on doors at Langley and as well the Afghans who ran the U.S.-backed Afghan intelligence service known as the NDS. It was this culture of violence, of impunity, of murder for political reasons that had a specific role, we'll find out more at trial, of shaping Lachenwall and his circumstances. To blame the Afghans who came here as refugees, desperate, overwhelmingly, as your guest said, who worked with the United States, who served the U.S. war effort, is perverse, and it is ultimately a cover for allowing the U.S. to...
Yeah, I mean, this is, it's very well said. It's a point well made. This is, you know, MLK talked about Vietnam. Every bomb dropped over there blows up in the United States. And this is a perfect example of that. And
also just shows that the Nazi lie from the Trump administration about a variety of different developing countries, that they're just shithole areas that have nothing of value. I mean, they were doing this, Trump was doing this over Thanksgiving about Somalia, and using the poverty that's been inflicted in many parts, like directly by U.S. empire, as a reason to deny people the ability to come to this country. It's just like the last gasps of this empire, and the fact that we're witnessing it like this, I mean, it's a death spiral.
There should be massive public outcry to investigate the CIA and get to the bottom of exactly what happened here. And everything else, all this sort of like travel ban shit that Trump is, all these Nazi policies is just to point the finger away from those people who should be investigated. Langley should be raided right now.
I mean, I don't want to get too conspiratorial about this, but this is the facts that the Rolling Stone wrote, and I read this yesterday, but it's very important. His unit mate, this was about Lachenwall, said Lachenwall sought help in June from a CIA program designed to aid zero-unit veterans with immigration issues. Rolling Stone reviewed a screenshot of the group chat in June where zero-unit veterans shared information with a CIA representative about ongoing issues. Lachenwall posted messages asking for help. His last post went unanswered and was deleted by the chat's administrator. Rolling Stone called the CIA representative in the text chat who claimed it was a wrong number. A request for comment from the CIA was not returned. So either, and I think it's definitely more likely this, but just want to point out, like, you know, I don't know what's going on over there at the CIA, but if they had any idea that this guy was going to attack National Guardsmen and he was an Afghan refugee and they thought that that would be helpful to them, I mean, I don't really know. I'm not trying to say that that's the case, but
it should be investigated.
It should be investigated. The fact that they had these messages showing that he was in distress and it went unanswered is very likely, I would say, probably just racism and incompetence by the CIA, and speaks to how we treat the people, these kids that we put in these death squads and then abandon once they're no longer convenient or helpful to us. But there's also just like, why was that message unanswered and how much was known?
Let's compare or perhaps contrast that
reach across the aisle.
Yeah, we'll reach across the aisle. Let's get both sides of this. We've heard from Spencer Ackerman on Democracy Now! Discuss this issue. Now let's turn to other
the Spencer Ackerman of the right.
Yes, other journalists and their take on this. Of course, we're talking about PBD, the Patrick Bet-David show, and several of their commentators.
I love where you went, Tommy. I'm going to take another even step back. How is this guy here? And let's talk about that. All this, besides the fact that she was doing her job, and the crime is significantly down, and the people of Washington actually like it.
Oh, pause it for a second. We should just tell you that he's asking, how is it possible that this Afghan refugee is here that shot these two National Guards soldiers, one of whom died? They were in Washington, D.C., again, the National Guard. It had been ruled illegal by a federal judge. It was on appeal, so they were still there. And so he's asking, how did this Afghan refugee get there?
all a plan, tactical invasion from Alejandro Mayorkas and the Biden administration, okay? Besides the open border, let's take that and put that to the side. How horrible was the Afghani withdrawal? Take a second and think about that, okay? That was the way of Biden's first, at least he stopped the war. Did you guys see the videos of the worst withdrawal ever? And 60,000 of these people, Rob, can you show the photo I sent you on Slack of that plane? But guys, remember when the plane was taken off, Pat?
Pause it for 1 second. Now, I know Vinny is a young man, so he may not be aware of the fall of Saigon and the withdrawal from there. You could go back, you could Google it. There was actually a film of it at that time where you can see literally people hanging on to the landing gear of a helicopter trying to get out of Saigon.
Yeah, same thing.
That is the problem. When you're engaged in a war for, well, in Afghanistan, it was nearly 2 decades, more than 2 decades. And you leave without really having established anything.
In fact, maybe making things worse.
Yeah, Taliban empowered them.
And there's a certain inevitability that these things are going to happen. And the best you can do at that point, because you can't go back in time, is to help the people who helped you so that they're not left to suffer at the hands of the regime that you have opened the door to.
Yeah, maybe keep an eye on the people you trained in death squads.
Well, I mean, look at that image of Vinny there.
That's one angry patriot.
That's one angry. I just want to. He says pull up pictures and videos. It is, as Brian was saying off mic. It's always videos with them. Just read something. Just read anything. Like, you want to know how he was here? It's very easily verifiable. He was brought in 2021 via Operation Allies Welcome because he was working with the CIA as a child soldier and then into his adulthood for one of their, counterinsurgency efforts. And he was granted asylum this year by the Trump administration. We saw the flurry after Charlie Kirk's killing of the claims by this administration that he was some sort of leftist because he may or may not have had a relationship with a trans person. And then those went really quiet once the actual investigation started. I find it a little interesting that they're not even really rushing. They tried to make, and Stephen Miller was out there, a really racist case about this guy. But the reality is that his asylum claim was approved under Donald Trump.
Yep.
I mean, they can't escape that fact. They can't even use their
stupid person.
Their Nazi playbook on this because they are responsible.
The photo I sent you on Slack of that plane. But guys, remember when the plane was taken off, Pat? People are running by that C-130 and people are hanging on and jumping off and dying, okay? That's it. This is Trump's tweet. This is part of a horrendous airlift from Afghanistan. Hundreds of thousands of people poured into the country, totally unvetted and unchecked. We will fix it, but we'll never forget what crooked Joe Biden and these thugs did to our country. And if you guys think about this, we bombed the hell out of a country, okay? Then you're going to let...
Who the hell hires like that? Who recruits like that? Who hires... Always bring it down to the most simplest concept. God. What company, if you ever started, would you just say, here, hire those 600 people, don't vet them, don't interview them, don't call references? Common sense. So if anybody watches and says, what's wrong with that? These guys are fighting for their lives. Would you hire like that?
Can you pause it? We quite literally already hired him. We literally already hired him. Is he approaching some sort of critique about what the U.S. did in Afghanistan and the groups that we funded?
No. I'm going to say no.
I'm
going to say no.
The vast majority, maybe not every single one in that picture that he depicted, undoubtedly worked for the Americans in Afghanistan. Yes. They worked as translators. They worked on a military base, providing, doing laundry. Some were child soldiers who were recruited to help fight the Taliban. But I would imagine every single person on that C-130 crammed in there, struggling to stay alive because they know that if they stay in Afghanistan, the Taliban's going to come in and kill them for being traitors, almost definitionally was hired by the U.S. military at one point over the course of the past 20 years.
And sorry, what's their complaint? They were first complaining that people were hanging off the thing, and now they're complaining that we let people inside to take them here. Like,
Well,
what's the actual complaint here?
Because that post by Trump where you show people all crowded in like that,
It's racist,
It's
yeah.
racist. It's disgusting. I mean, it's meant to
It's like the
basically
caravan.
Yeah, it's meant to zoom out from people's humanity and make them look like insects in some sort of petri dish or something.
I wonder if you had a C-130 of people escaping Iran when Khomeini came in, like apparently this guy's father did, I believe. I'm not sure exactly. And he asked his audience, would you hire these people?
Would you hire
Their
these people
answer
like
would
this?
be, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also Murtaza Hussein, who we had on like last week, I believe, pointed out that immigration to the U.S. is one of the perks that U.S. empire offers to cooperative foreign elites and mercenaries that take its side in overseas conflicts. And then, the issue is that the actual U.S. itself, there's little support systems for people who come without significant economic resources on their own. Because like elites from other countries like this, they'll use things like quid pro quos about getting your kid into this like Ivy League university or whatever. But if you're just a standard mercenary, you have no support system. That's what this Rolling Stone article shows. He was just fired from his laundromat job and had difficulty communicating outside of communities that weren't predominantly Afghani, that he was really struggling to make rent and all this kind of stuff. And that's because our national security state used him and discarded him starting from his childhood.
Vinny goes on a little bit more here.
Would you hire like that without running references, without running background checks, without running credit reports, without calling?
Oh, just one real quick thing. The United States has the capacity to vet and did vet those people.
Oh, they did. These are some of the most vetted people in the country.
He thinks that they hijacked this airplane and just poured a bunch of people in there and brought it into the U.S.
To get asylum status, you are incredibly well vetted. Now, your credit score coming from Afghanistan, as he's calling for an assessment of, may not be great. But the other, you have clearly worked with Americans long enough that your life would be in danger in Afghanistan, and the American soldiers trusted you. But go back a little bit.
Hire like that without running references, without running background checks, without running credit reports, without seeing their resumes, without having them being interviewed by 2 or 3 people. Would you do that? That's what America did under Biden. That means we hired these people without any references.
Pause it. I'm sorry. So if Biden hired him, Trump gave him a raise by granting the asylum claim earlier this year. Just want to say that.
There may be your neighbors living right next to you. Vinny, I didn't want to interrupt you.
No,
but to me, it just doesn't make any sense.
Pat, no, it's not interruption. That's called, you piggybacked, and that's exactly it. When you bomb the hell out of them for their poppy fields and Al-Qaeda and all that stuff, how pissed off do you think if you let 60,000 in? What would you say? 25% are like F America? Come back. And by the way, they did it on purpose, Pat. I'm telling you right now, there's no other explanation for why the border was wide open, and why would you let them in unless you wanted them to do exactly what the hell this piece of you-know-what did. You give them all cell phones, and you go, hey, listen, go, welcome to America, and just wait. If we need you, we'll call you. And the moment this happened, Tom, because I want to go by the numbers.
I mean, ironic, the whole they give him a cell phone, if we need you, we'll call you thing, given that this guy was trying to outreach for help and was ignored.
Yeah.
I went, where's George Soros? Is Soros linked to this? And automatically, George Soros linked NGO World Relief is the name of it, funded the settlement of the National Guard shooter, that Ramadan, whatever the hell his name is, in Washington State from Afghanistan. World Relief has received U.S. taxpayer dollars through USAID. Okay, I knew he was going to be tied to it at some point. But let's just go back to the withdrawal. They were so proud. They wanted the headline. They rushed the country that 20 years we've been bombing them and killing their people. They left $85 billion worth of gear left in the hands of the Taliban. 75,000 vehicles, trucks, armored units, 600.
All right.
It's all hieroglyphics on his computer.
So we're very sensitive to the fact that Soros, George Soros Foundation has like refugee donations to refugee programs. Not going to mention the death squads and the CIA, huh, Vinny?
No.
And of course, again, these are the people who wanted to come to the United States, not because they wanted revenge. It's because they wanted to come to the United States because they were afraid to stay in their own country because they had helped the United States.
Yes. Yes.
Also, to be able to understand that we were bombing for poppy fields or whatever, and not be able to just take a couple more steps down that
Right,
logic,
exactly.
is so sad.
Yeah.
Should we do 19 or should we save it for tomorrow? I guess we should save it for tomorrow. I'm going to
Yeah.
read a couple of IMs and then we'll get out of here. Oh, I have a letter about Grand Platinum, but we'll read that tomorrow too. Isaiah, new member, Knicks Celtics tonight.
Yeah.
Exciting game.
In Boston, though, so that's... Knicks haven't been as good away this year, but we'll see.
Already making excuses. TrumpFile.org. That's some weird white balance for a white nationalist country. Make fun half again. Did you all see today's Pentagon press conference that journalists Matt Gaetz, Laura Loomer, James O'Keefe, and Jap Passaic in the press pool? I did not see that. Sent with lasers. Sam, as a parent of current young people, can you recommend a good parent app for phones? I'm not used to having to deal with this phone nonsense. I feel like I'm giving my child a nightmare machine every morning. It's horrible. I have not been able to find one that is great. Here's what I do. I use a control on my router. I have a router that limits the amount of time they can go online. Now, of course, the phone can go on, but we don't have apps on Saul's phone. He spends a lot of time on Duolingo, but it's like, okay.
Right.
Because that's his school. They use it with the school. I mean, that's the problem, is that the school has now integrated all the screens into the curriculum.
Right.
Yeah.
But, and he spends a lot of time on Google Earth.
Oh, hell yeah. I did a lot
What are
of
you
that
going to
too.
do about that? But
I remember
no social media.
I remember an afternoon when I was home alone one summer and found out what Google Street View was, and I was a little North Dakota boy, like, I can go into big cities and just
Was
walk
that
around the cities.
Before or after you discovered Flight Simulator?
Oh, that was way before. Flight Simulator is sort of adult Matt fixation.
I will also say, as a general rule, I am much more inclined to give like a desktop versus a laptop, or have something on a laptop versus on a phone. Portability is the real problem. That's why Saul wants a Steam Deck, a little Steam handheld player for
Those are awesome.
for Hanukkah, and I'm not going to give it to him because I don't want him to be able to carry it around.
Yep. There's a joke, I can't remember who was doing it, but about comedians that show up and like play Switch all the time. They're not even like socializing or doing the things you usually
100%.
expect, but they just like sit in the backstage playing Switch.
Yeah. Zach Stein, if you're listening.
We'll play this tomorrow. I'm just going to read some IMs. Henry, suggestion for the show. You guys should set up a CTA button where people can donate $1 to $5, something small, so that people can essentially gift memberships to people who want more of the show, similar to how people can gift subs on Twitch. Poggers. That's a good idea. We could do that with a just a QR code.
Figure out a way to do like a live little bar showing our goal or something.
Krusty Gnome, I still procrastinate at work using Google Earth. Maggie Hassan Piker. Listening to the app and it looks great. Listening on the lap and it looks great. Bingo Dango. Sam, you admit having a color filter, but deny having the ability to run Tim Pool's music through an audio filter to make it sound horrible. Curious.
Oh shit, they found us out.
Mean Kitty, longtime listener, live in the 7th District in Tennessee, voted early. Good job. Go Afton. I've lived in Tennessee so long, I remember when it was blue. First time I've had hope in a long time. Chris Burdick, do you know why Trump posts everything twice? He has that same tick that Jimmy 2 times had in Goodfellas. But instead of I'm going to go get the papers, it's I'm going to go post the truth. Post the truth.
Stupid.
5 more. Davey Hellybender, EFVG. Socialist masshole. When will ESPN be back? I would love to hear more about Giants-Patriots game yesterday.
I want to hear about the kicking.
I'm especially interested in the Giants kicker and the two teams' respective long-term quarterback replacement strategies.
I'm on to the Knicks this year.
Colin from, while fear-mongering about drug trafficking in the region, Trump is pardoning the drug lord ex-president of Honduras, the same corrupt head of state that sold sovereignty to Peter Thiel against the Honduran Supreme Court. Indeed. Two more. Queef Latina. The money is Afghani. The people are Afghans.
No. Did you read that incorrectly?
No.
Oh,
That was
God.
probably the IM name.
That's disgusting.
So we probably don't need IM names like that,
Yes,
folks.
stop it.
Well, whatever. I mean, come on. Let people have fun. Joe Banks. Schumer is relying on educated wishes. And
bunch of narcs.
I'm sorry. I'm just not fun. I can't hang with the guys.
I know Matt was grossed out too.
That sounds like more of like a girl joke.
Not
I don't
my
think so.
girlfriends. Have you met a woman before?
Once. Once.
Clearly met one twice at least.
I'm a divorcee. I don't get any of that stuff. All right. And the final I am of the day. Carolina Commie, assuming votes for a third candidate would go one way or another, is so intellectually irresponsible. People are motivated to vote for candidates, not to vote against candidates. That's not necessarily true. But obviously, Democrats never acknowledge that research reality because it directly contradicts their 10-year strategy of Trump bad. In fact, people are motivated to vote against people. I think a lot of like Cuomo's votes were against Mamdani. Some of Mamdani's votes were against Cuomo. And certainly, but nevertheless,
I mean,
if
a
you're
lot
over
of
50%, it doesn't matter.
A lot of Sliwa people did go to Cuomo, and shame on them.
Yeah.
Matt, Brian, Emma, great job today, folks. See you tomorrow.
It might take all the strength I got to get to where I want, but I know somehow I'm gonna get there. I wasn't looking when I just got caught between the truth and the lie.